Oh, where do you think Trendy is, then?
Trendy is in London,
In
right?
Camden. Camden Town.
Camden is trendy.
Rubbish.
Yeah, it is.
We went to Camden, did a show there. It's like a pit.
Yeah, it's
not trendy.
It's a very up-and-coming area.
Up-and-coming. It's full of filth.
Yeah, it is full of filth.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
Particularly full of filth when you were there.
Anyway, listen, we need to talk about more important matters.
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to tell you about the parrot that's going to be in a murder trial.
Oh, yeah, tell me. This is TalkSport. We are the two Mikes, and it is time to say, even slightly belatedly, very, very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to Mr. Parry.
Very good morning, mate. I'm actually mourning.
Why?
Why
are you mourning?
Yeah, well, because a great man has died.
Who?
Michu Mazaris.
Michu Mazaris?
Yeah, he's the smallest man in the world.
Is he?
He's dead.
Well, not anymore, he's not, I suppose.
He's not. No, he's the smallest corpse in the world now.
That's a bit harsh.
Yeah, he's dead. Yeah, 33 inches tall. Michu...
33 inches?
Yeah. He was the star of the original Barnum and Bailey circus, okay?
Oh, okay, all right.
And he was 7 inches shorter than Tom Thumb. Tom Thumb was introduced by the Barnum Circus as the smallest man in the world.
I thought Tom Thumb was a fictional character.
No. Well, General Tom Thumb was the name of the previous small man.
Oh, really?
And old Michu was much smaller.
Oh, right. How old was he?
Michu got to 76, I believe. Yeah.
76?
Yeah,
that's quite a good age, isn't it?
Yeah, he was from Budapest.
I'm just trying to work out 33, so it's just under 3 feet, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty small,
Yeah,
isn't
it is pretty small, yeah. I mean, he wasn't a dwarf. He was the smallest, fully developed man in the world,
yes.
do you know what I mean?
Yes. Well, he didn't suffer from dwarfism.
No, he didn't. No. He could have been a jockey, I suppose, but you know,
I don't think so.
I think he's even too small to be a jockey.
Yeah, I would have
so he went
so.
into the circus, and he was a star, an absolute star. But he's dead now.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that you're in mourning about that.
Well,
You've never mentioned him before. I had no idea you had any affinity with him.
No, it's just that characters like him make the world go round, and,
really?
and when you lose one, I think part of the world's jigsaw is fractured and gone.
Yes, indeed.
And you never get the like of it again. You don't get a replacement now for old Michu, because if you do, you've got to find a 33-inch fully developed man.
Presumably there will be somebody similar
I don't think
to
there
him
is.
in the next... Well, check the Guinness Book of Records, I suppose.
I don't think there is.
You'll see who his...
But anyway, there you go.
Yeah,
farewell to Michu.
Thanks very much for starting us off on that particular thing.
Yeah.
I've got a much more interesting story for you, which is on the back page of The Guardian this morning, on the sport page of The Guardian, saying that Mancini is in the frame for the England job.
What's an utter load of
Now, what do you make of that?
Well, ridiculous.
Well, how's it ridiculous?
Because I tell you something.
He speaks very good English, which you're all saying is a massive.
He's got no passion. He's got no passion for anything.
He's got loads of passion.
Who?
Roberto Mancini. You're saying he hasn't got passion?
No,
it's not Henry Mancini we're talking about.
No, I don't think he's got a lot of passion at all.
Why not?
I don't think he's much cough at all.
What? Well, you didn't see him at Manchester City. You've forgotten, haven't you?
Of course, I haven't forgotten. He had no passion. He had wavy hair. He spoke more quietly than a 4-year-old child.
Well, that's ridiculous.
And he had no passion.
No, he was always getting very wound up on the touchline.
No.
He was one of these guys that was always, doing the imaginary yellow card, running up and down the side.
You've
completely forgotten what he was like.
I haven't forgotten what he was like. He was like old AVB, Andrew.
Not at all. No, he wasn't at all.
I think brilliant. He's like him. He's useless. Now, the man, of course, who should take the England job is either Sam Allardyce or the man who's bringing himself back into the frame is Harry Redknapp.
Harry Redknapp says he doesn't want to be the manager, though, does he? He says that there should be somebody young.
No, he does
and
not.
He wants to be the kind of, the elder statesman.
No, he doesn't say that.
No, he does.
No, he doesn't.
He says that he wants to be the guy who gives the experience to the young man who should be given the chance. Because he says, and quite rightly, it's not a very good idea to bring somebody very young into one of the most high-pressurised jobs in the entire world without any help. And so he would like to be the guy that helps him.
No, that is an interpretation, a public interpretation of Harry's position. But in fact, the real position is that he would love to be the England manager again. I know this. I know.
How do you know?
Because I know. I have information sources.
Well, how do you know?
I know.
Why
Mike.
you're not wanting to reveal why you know?
Well, no, because you're supposed to be a journalist. So when I tell you I know, then you're supposed to say, I see, old Porky there has a source.
Well, I would say that if I thought any of your sources were really good.
Yeah, well...
But, generally they're not. They usually turn out to be a load of old rubbish.
That's too much of a generalisation. I'm not reacting to that. I'm telling you... I'm telling you that Harry Redknapp would jump at the chance of being the England coach stroke manager without any of this nonsense about we're the experienced man upstairs, younger man downstairs. It doesn't work like that. Teams like that don't work. You've got to be so single-minded in your approach to the job of football management, it can only be one man, not one man and his lapdog.
Well,
okay?
I think Harry Redknapp may be onto something by saying that actually you need more than one man, because it is a job for more than one man. I mean,
it's not even a job for one man.
In every football club, right? In every football club, they have more than one person involved in, for example, team selection. In terms of who they buy, who they sell.
Really?
Do they? Yeah, of course they do.
So when Sir Alex Ferguson had his glorious,
Sir Alex Ferguson is no longer a manager.
25-year
Sir Alex
reign.
Ferguson is no longer a manager.
And who was his assistant?
David Gill, and he worked together, right?
David
Gill
had
that.
Nothing to do with it.
Of course he did. One of the reasons why
ridiculous.
Manchester United fell apart in such a spectacular way was that David Gill and Sir Alex Ferguson left at the same time. Plank.
No, it's because a poor coach came in. All David Gill did was go and buy players that Sir Alex Ferguson identified.
Is that
Simple
right?
as that.
Is that how you... I mean, you're such a simplistic person, aren't you?
You're trying to make out David Gill's some kind of scout, or, travelled the world finding players for Sir Alex Ferguson.
What I'm saying is that the job cannot be done by one person. The scouting can't be done by one person, the managing can't be done by one person. You'll have to seriously take it on board that, since you worked at the FA, which was in the last century, I think, wasn't it? Was that your phone going off?
No.
Well, what is it then?
I don't know.
It's a noise coming out of your device.
It's an electronic device. Electronic devices.
Why would you deny that it's your phone?
I didn't realise it was. I'm sorry. It
was your phone.
Well, we're in a studio and sound tends to be cushioned, so I didn't realise it was
why don't
my
you just
sound
switch
device.
it off?
I have done so.
Okay.
All right. Chatel Fermele Gobbo, okay?
Fermele Gobbo. But, I mean, anyway, let's go back to the matter at hand. The point is that, some jobs are too big for one person. It's a bit like saying, you could be Prime Minister. Yeah. By the way, it looks like that Porky Jinx is working well, too. So Theresa May looks like she's going to get it, doesn't it?
Well, hang on. Down to the last two.
Yeah, down to the last two.
It's my candidate,
it's your candidate, yeah. It's 150 quid you've put on it.
Yes, that's right,
We should have a noise for the Porky Jinx, shouldn't we?
No.
We should have some kind of a klaxon.
You realise now, of course, that it's no longer in the remit of the parliamentary representatives,
that's right.
i.e. the MPs.
Yes.
It's now in the remit of the county associations.
The 300,000 members of the Conservative Party.
Exactly, yeah. And I have very, very clear and accurate insights into the thinking of those 300,000 people.
Yes. You spoke to a lot of them, have you?
Yes, I have, actually.
Have you?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And you're happy with the woman that you promoted shamelessly with a dodgy CV being in charge of the country, eh?
I think...
This is a woman who has faked a CV.
No, that's an allegation, which she's denied.
No, it's not an allegation.
Yes.
She refused to answer questions about it today.
She's denied it.
She hasn't denied it.
No, I heard her speaking.
She has not denied it.
He said, of course I didn't corrupt my CV, and she explained all the jobs that she's had. So,
Did she explain that she's never been in charge of billions of pounds, then?
No,
she explained that she's never been in charge of thousands of people.
No, she didn't say that at all.
No, exactly. She hasn't denied it.
No, she sticks by her CV.
Oh, really?
I mean, Theresa May, right, and nobody's actually touched on this yet. Theresa May caused the Tory party 15 years of unmitigated grief in the face of Tony Blair's mob because she foolishly, very, very stupidly, after the Tories lost the John Major election when Tony Blair came in 97, she stupidly at the next election stood up and said, you know what some people call us? They call us the Nasty Party. And do you know what? Every Labour PR for the next decade and a half latched onto that and said, well, of course, the Tories are nasty. So that meant the Tories could never open their mouths about immigration without being called racist. They could never open their mouths about, the bloated welfare state without being told...
Do you know what we're not going to do today? You know what we're not going to do today? We're not going to sit here, as we did yesterday, and listen to you banging on about whatever you want to bang on about.
Well,
people said to me yesterday... No, we were having a conversation, though.
You asked me about the leader of the Tory party.
No, I didn't ask you about her.
I've just been talking about one of them.
No, I made a statement, because what I got last night for a lot of people was you're going to let Porky take over the show, which I'm not going to allow to happen.
That's because people like listening to
No,
me.
they don't, actually. They were complaining that you were talking too much gibberish all night.
Now,
how about this from Omar?
On.
Omar says, I think Mike Parry's confusing Mancini with Pellegrini, and I think you are.
No, I'm not.
I think you are.
No,
You've forgotten that Roberto Mancini was one of the most high, sort of, shall we say, sort of inflammable characters in football in the Premier League.
He was better
known.
Don't
you remember the fight that took place, between him and Mario Balotelli?
No, he was better known for the cut of his suit than he was for his football
Not
talent.
True.
He only got a title with City because he was the first recipient of the billions of pounds of Middle East oil money that's pumped into the club.
Well, he's
had
quite a good playing career, and he has had quite a good managerial career as well. Rob says this: Roberto Mancini did well at Manchester City. He was unlucky to be sacked on FA Cup day. He was better than Pellegrini. Here's one from Look at the Light. It says Porky has an affinity with all those who are shorter than him.
Yes. Well, no, not really. But
Which is a bit harsh.
I think it's a sad thing, you know, when anybody passes on and people start making fun of it. You know, it's rather distasteful.
Well, nobody's making fun of it. It's painfully obvious that Porky simply doesn't know who Mancini is, says Alex.
Of course I know who Mancini is.
I think you've forgotten. I'm going to show you a picture of him.
And anyway, he's Italian, so who wants an Italian manager of the England football team?
It'd be better than anyone we've had recently, i.e. Roy Hodgson. Talk Sport, we are the two Mikes. Of course, the Porky quiz is coming up a little bit later on. We'll be talking to Janusz Michalik later on from ESPN as well, who's going to be telling us what he made of France's amazing performance last night. Janusz Michalik. Oh, yeah. He's a former player for the...
So mate of yours?
Well, he's a former international footballer.
Is he?
He's another one you haven't heard of.
Who did he play for?
He used to play for Poland.
Okay. Which club did he play for in Poland?
Which club? I don't think he played for a club in Poland. I think he played for a bunch of clubs in Europe.
Which clubs did he play for
I'm not sure which clubs he played for. Maybe you could ask him.
So you bring some guy onto the show who...
Maybe you could ask him. No, we've spoken to him before.
Really?
Yeah, we have. I mean, you know, you get a running order as well as I do, so you can always look him up if you wish.
Yes, I see.
So you don't have to. Here's one from Roy. He says, well done, MG. Don't let that boring plank take over the show and take his boring-ass journals away from him as well.
That's a bit harsh.
Hashtag yawnfest. Tony says, listening in this week from sunny Cyprus, please send your best wishes to my childhood sweetheart, Astria, on our 13-year anniversary.
Astria?
Astria.
Sounds
not Austria.
Astria, you sound like a planet, but nevertheless, I want to say very...
The planet Astria.
Very happy anniversary.
Did you like that song, by the way, that we just came back with? Did you recognise it?
No, I don't like Elton John songs.
Don't you?
I think they're all boring.
You don't like any Elton John songs, even though he's the only person you've ever been to see in concert.
Elton John doesn't write any of the words of his songs.
He doesn't write the lyrics, no.
No, and whenever I listen to an Elton John song, the music always sounds incredibly detached from the words. It always
because you're such a musical expert.
Yeah, it always sounds to me like the words have been written as a poem and then they've been given to Elton John and he sort of... played some music around them. Yeah. It sounds completely disjointed to me. Right. It's not like...
He's not done too badly, though, considering, has he?
Oh, he's done brilliantly well, and there's millions of people around the world love him and bought his albums and all that kind of stuff, but it's just not my taste.
Have you not got any of his albums, then?
None, no.
Really?
No, I've never bought an Elton John record in my life.
Hits.
No. My mate, when I was about sort of 15 or something, had his first ever single, This Is My Song, and My Song Is For You or something.
You mean Your Song, it's called?
Your Song,
it's not my song.
Yeah, this song is for you, girl, girl, this is you, or something like that. And I thought that was rubbish, and I think everything else ever since has been. Three of his records, I would say I wouldn't switch the radio off in the car if they came on, and they are Crocodile Rock, Down the Yellow Brick Road, and I'm Still Standing.
Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road.
Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road.
Not Down the Yellow Brick Road.
But as for the rest, all garbage. Listen, I need to tell you about my pen.
Your pen?
I've just put a picture out of it.
A pen?
Yes.
Why?
Well, the thing is, I've told you, haven't I, that my housekeeping lady has had a bad back. Although she's resuming business.
You said she had a trapped nerve or something, right?
Trapped nerve in her back, yeah. But she's
that can take a long time to get well from, isn't it?
I've given her a week, and I've given her the ultimatum now. You know, she gets back on Saturday or else. And,
has she not got somebody she can have a substitute for her?
Well, that's up to her. You know, she wants to bring her daughter with her or something to do the ironing. But she's got to do a lot of ironing because I'm running out of clothes, OK?
Yeah.
So anyway...
Why are you running out of clothes? Take them down to dry cleaners and get them clean.
So anyway, I attempted to wash a shirt, but I forgot to take... You know, I have very expensive pens. And
I don't know that, no.
Yeah, well, of course you do.
How do I know that?
Well, you always see me with an expensive pen.
No, I see you with a pen. I don't know how expensive it is. I don't go around going, oh, I wonder how much that costs.
Oh, no, they're very expensive.
All I know is that you've always got a pen.
They're very expensive.
I mean, I've got a pen here. Do you think that's expensive?
No, that's a horrible, nasty little plastic biro.
It's a Bic.
I refuse to use those things.
Why?
They're just...
It's just as well as yours.
They're cheap and shabby.
Yeah, but you're cheap and shabby looking, even though you claim to spend a lot of money on stuff. You're wearing some cheap and shabby headphones. You got a cheap and shabby faux leather bag for them.
Why are you so envious of my life?
I'm not envious at all. Why are you using my line? That's my line against you. You're wearing a crappy old shirt, right?
These are Sennheiser. These are not cheap
Sennheiser,
and rubbishy headphones. But they're very expensive.
They're not very expensive. No. People have posted pictures of the same headphones that you could get for 30 quid.
Talking about my pen. So anyway, so I threw a shirt in the washing machine.
What, just one?
Two.
You just washed 2 shirts?
No, 4.
4?
4. I'm just remembering how many have been
just
ruined.
remembering?
No, I'm just remembering ruined. Right, 4.
Right, okay.
So you put 4.
You put a whole wash on for 4 shirts?
4 shirts.
That's it? Nothing else?
Well,
no socks?
It seemed full, actually, after 4. I don't know how she gets all the rest of the stuff in.
Have you got a particularly tiny washing machine?
No. I've got a big washing machine, actually.
I mean, if I want to put a washing machine load of shirts on, I get about 7 or 8 in there.
Oh, okay, well, I didn't. I thought it looked full. Anyway, so then I followed all the instructions, switched everything on, put powder in it and all this, and something called after wash, is it, or something?
Hey?
Conditioner.
What, like fabric softener? That kind of thing? Comfort, was it?
Yeah, comfort.
Not comforter, comfort.
Comfort, that's right.
Did you just find that in the cupboard? Or did you buy it?
Yeah, she keeps a cupboard full of washing powder and stuff, you know.
Right.
So, anyway, I switched it on, then I went and reclined in my high-backed Georgian chair, which... Sorry, what's your problem?
Does your feet not touch the floor?
No, of course they do. Well, I've got a footrest.
You've
got
a
them on my footrest, yeah.
A footrest?
Yeah. And
well, like a really tiny little footrest?
Yes, that's right. But it's good for my back, you see. That keeps my back in shape.
Has it got wooden legs, or is it more like a puff?
No, it's got wooden legs.
Wooden legs?
Wooden legs, yeah. So anyway...
And mine boggles.
Anyway...
Absolutely.
Anyway, I left the door open to the lounge into the kitchen, and then I heard a rattling noise.
I thought it was all kind of open plan, your place.
Well, it is. It's got doors, but I never close them.
Well, it's not open plan if it's got doors.
No, it is.
Just because you leave the doors open doesn't make it open plan.
Well, anyway, look, I wouldn't even worry about it because I hear the rattling noise. So I go into the kitchen, and I see in the washing machine, as well as 4 shirts, a very expensive pen going round.
Has it been left in the top pocket?
Yeah, I always keep it in the top pocket of my shirt.
That could have been very dangerous.
Well, anyway, I've now posted a picture of what happened to the pen, which you can have a look at if you want.
I'll have a look, yeah.
And not only, of course, is the pen completely ruined, but all the ink came out of it and ruined the 4 shirts. I'm 4 shirts down now.
God!
So it was a disaster.
So what's that? Is that one of the shirts that you got the picture of?
No, that's the pen. That's the remnants of the pen.
No, I know, but what's it on though? It's on a piece of tissue.
It's on a piece of tissue because I was trying to sort of dry it all out.
And what's that on? What's the sort of gold braid thing going on?
Oh, that's just a.
Is that your carpet?
No, that's not a carpet at all.
What is it?
It's a cover for one of my...
You're just making this up now,
No, for one of the arms on my couch.
It's the cover for one of the arms on your couch?
Yeah.
Is it that what the couch looks like? Or is it
No.
Why have you got a cover that's different from the couch?
Do you know what that cover was made of?
It looks like polyester to me.
No, it's made of material which is the same colour as my blazer at the King's School, Chester.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
What, you had that specially made?
Yes, indeed.
You are a complete and utter weirdo.
And guess...
What is the point of that?
And guess where the material was bought from?
I've no idea. Not that place in the Harrods of the North.
Browns of Chester. Absolutely right. It was years ago.
Dear God.
My mother sent it me years ago.
So you've got a couch, right, which is what colour?
It's that particular one is a sort of blue.
Blue?
Yes.
Like a dark blue?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And this blazer looks black to me. Blazer colour.
No, it's a sort of green, blue and white. Stripes.
Oh, so it is, I can see now. Yeah, it's a green and blue. Okay, so and it looks like toweling material.
Well, that's the sort of thing it is. They're covers for
your blazer wasn't made out of toweling material.
No, it wasn't. No, it's not toweling material, but
it does. It looks like toweling. Look.
It's not actually. It's a sort of thick material because it's designed the covers like to put on the covers of your couch so that you don't wear out the the wings of your couch when you put your hand on it to get up and sit down.
But normally when you get a couch and you get the covers, right?
Yes.
They normally are the same colour as the couch.
Well, I thought they
You don't actually get them different.
No, I think it'd be a nice contrast to have them different. So that's what I did.
It's hideous.
Yes,
no, it's absolutely hideous.
It's not. Anyway, I don't know why you're so worried about it.
Well, I'm worried about it because I'd like to see what's in the picture behind what you're actually trying to show us. Now, what is the nature of this pen? Is it a Waterman pen?
No, that one's a Parker.
Okay,
but it's very expensive Parker.
How much?
I think it cost about £90.
Really? You can buy Parkers for less money than that.
Yeah, I suppose you could.
This is one of your fountain pens that you were talking about.
No,
except
it's not.
It's a ballpoint. It's a ballpoint.
Yeah, it's a biro. It's a
well, they're not £90.
They are
rubbish. I bet you I can find you one for 25.
I'm sure you could, but that particular one cost £90.
Well, you were done.
Well, I don't care.
Did that guy at Quick Fit sell it to you?
No. It looked great to me. It looked great to me. That's why I bought it. Now, the point is, I thought, I've got away with this until I opened the pen.
But hang on, most of your shirts as well are dark blue, aren't they?
No, there were a couple of light ones, I'm afraid, ruined. Oh. And I thought I got away with it till I opened the pen and found that all the ink had been sucked out of it because it had fractured inside the barrel, if you see what I mean.
Although the little ballpoint thing itself looks intact.
It does, but you see the plastic thing at the top?
Yeah.
That's the valve. That had fractured and all the ink had come out, I'm afraid.
Right. Yeah. Stevie says this, going by previous photos of Porky's shirts, the pen has done us all a favour.
Oh, that's nice.
Scott says that looks like a quality rug. That's the black and yellow and green thing. John says, Porky, man of the people, my foot. Yeah. Such a compassionate boss. She's got a week or else. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And here's one from Roy. He says, how can he be 4 shirts down if the ink was blue? You wouldn't be able to see the stain as the plank shirts are all blue.
No, they're not, though. There were a couple of light ones, I'm afraid. So a bit of a disaster, then, I'm afraid.
Right. Rob says, Mike Parry has a bad memory to not remember speaking with Mr. Michalik from ESPN. He's talked to him before on the show.
Well, of course we have, yes. I was just, sort of testing you, really.
Yeah, well, don't upset the guy, because he might not come on if he thinks that you don't know who he is.
No, that's right. Yeah,
and Scottish Bully says, what a sexist pig Mr. Parry is, giving the cleaner an ultimatum. Shock horror. Porky might have to iron his own shirts or clean up.
No. There's nothing sexist about it. The point is that I have an extremely affable relationship with my housekeeping lady, and
I wonder if she would say the same.
Yeah, well, she would. And she said herself that, she's very sorry to inconvenience me and realises, how difficult it is for me to cope without her and all that kind of stuff.
Well, how is it difficult to cope without her?
So she might send her daughter around to do it, in which case everybody's happy and it's all solved.
You're basically confessing that you're basically helpless. You can't look after yourself.
Not at all.
You can't wash your own clothes.
No.
You can't iron your own clothes.
No.
You can't organise your own wardrobe without somebody putting it out for you.
No, none of that's true. It's just that time in a day is valuable and we have things to do.
Is that right?
As that. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll talk about some of those things coming up in a little while.
Okay.
We will, of course, be talking later on to another sleep expert, you'll be glad to know, Dr. Chris Winter, who's actually going to tell you that not enough sleep and too much sleep can sometimes be the same thing.
And women need more sleep than men.
Do they?
Yes.
Well, we'll find out from him if that's true.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport.
So when you're near me, darling, can't you hear me? SOS. The love you gave me, nothing else can save me. SOS. When you're gone, how can I even try to go on?
You like that song, right?
Oh, great song. Love it.
We're putting out an SOS for you. That's why we're doing it.
Why's that? What for?
Well, because you need help. You need somebody to come and help you.
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah. Well, no, I don't really. It's just, look, you get into a routine, and, when your routine gets shattered, it affects your whole life.
Shattered?
Yeah.
Well, your routine's been shattered. You don't think you're slightly over-egging the pudding?
No, I'm not over-egging the pudding at all. In fact, I very nearly missed a train today. I had to go into town, do a bit of business.
Well, you're lucky there's any trains going at the moment.
Well, it's absolutely true, actually. It's a terrible mess, the old Southern Rail services, and every time you go to the station, there's a sign there saying, we apologise for, the fact that there's
no
trains been cancelled. That's right, yeah.
Good luck trying to get into work.
Yeah, and you kind of think to yourself, what is the point of a railway company? They're supposed to run trains, aren't they?
Exactly.
So when you put notices there's no trains, it's like going to your newsagents and saying, I'm sorry, we've decided we don't want to sell any papers today.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Don't worry about it. Oh, by the way, there's a new paper. I must see if we can get our hands on one. There's a new paper being published, right? Being published by a mate of mine, an old mate of mine from the Mirror, called The New European. Have you heard about this?
No.
And apparently, this is a guy who works for a big publishing company called Archant.
I know who Archant are.
Who own a bunch of what you might call regional papers.
That's right,
mostly fairly small circulation, but very sort of much part of the community, right? But the New European is being launched today, and if I can't get my hands on one, I'll try and get it online.
Do you mean today, Friday?
Today, Friday, yeah. And the idea behind it is that it's all about, wanting the people who wanted to stay inside the European Union.
Oh, I see.
And I fear, I do fear, and I did say this to him.
Yes.
If I get to have a look at it, and it might all be fine and dandy and everything else, but I do fear that it might go the way of, the New Day. Because
pretty sure it will.
It's basically going to be full of reasons why we should stay in the European Union, even though we've actually voted to get out of it.
Sounds like a loser, that, to me.
It doesn't sound great, does it?
Sorry to your mate. I'm going to show you a picture now. You're going to be amazed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, look at that. Now, read the caption on that.
It says, night clouds. It's a very lovely, what looks like a lovely sunset. There's some water. There's a bit of a beach scenario going on. A walker on Whitley Bay Beach, Northumberland, catches a rare glimpse of noctilucent clouds in the early hours of yesterday morning.
Yes.
Such clouds mostly appear in the summer and are only visible with the sun below the horizon.
Absolutely.
Is that the blue sort of clouds up here?
Yeah, that's right. But
Noctilucent.
what is the very great relevance of that picture that I've just given to you?
The relevance, I would say, is that we go to Whitley Bay.
Exactly.
On the 24th, I believe, of September. Yeah.
The Playhouse Theatre.
That's right.
And we're staying at the York House Hotel.
Why are you saying where we're staying?
Well, it doesn't
Why
matter.
are you telling everyone?
Well, that doesn't matter, does
Well,
it?
now everyone's going to turn up there.
Well, no, don't worry about that.
Yeah,
But,
well, I do worry about it.
OK, well, they're all banned.
So you've now banned people from a place you've told us where we're going to be?
Well, all right, we're not staying there. We're staying actually in Tynemouth. The Grand Hotel in Tynemouth.
Oh, dear.
Just a thought to stay at York House.
Yeah,
But anyway,
exactly.
look.
Yeah, we thought we'd stay there, but now that Porky's given the game away, we're not going to.
But isn't it absolutely beautiful? Isn't it
It's
absolutely
gorgeous.
beautiful? Can
well,
you see...
those beaches up in Northumberland, I have to say,
Yeah.
some of the finest beaches in the world.
They are, but they don't get the weather. And you see in the background, you see that building?
Yeah, what is that?
It's St Mary's Lighthouse.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, people often mistake that as Lindisfarne.
I was going to say, I
Lindisfarne-
don't, yeah, because I didn't think Holy Island had that sort of tall tower.
Lindisfarne is further up the coast, but
Yeah.
that is St Mary's Lighthouse, which
Okay.
again is a projection out into the sea,
Yeah.
which you can walk over to.
Is it one of those lighthouses that someone lives in?
No, I don't think so.
Or is it now sort of just automated?
There are no
Or even
habitable lighthouses left in this country because they're all now electronically
Do
controlled.
you remember that one? Was there not one in Scotland where you would basically be the lighthouse was on one island and then you take a rowing boat to another island, which is where you would live?
Sure, you're not
Remember that?
thinking of
I'm sure
the
it
great
was-
story involving young Grace.
Who?
Grace.
Grace who?
I don't know what her surname was, but she was a heroine because she rowed out into the water and rescued all these fishermen who were drowning and
When?
took them back to land. Oh, about 300 years ago.
300 years ago.
Yeah.
No, this was a story we actually did on this show.
Oh, did we?
About, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah, about what?
Because there was an island for sale, and the island came with a lighthouse. But if you bought the island, you had to operate the lighthouse.
I didn't know about that
You
one.
don't
mate.
remember that?
Didn't know about that
William
one.
says this: did Porky wear his German socks for the match last night? # Porky Jinx.
No, I didn't.
You didn't.
No.
And Scott says, Porky, a normal ballpoint pen is probably more valuable than that rug. Everyone's convinced that thing in the picture is a rug.
It's not a rug, honestly. It's not a rug.
And here's it's a picture that Willem has put out saying,
Oh, yeah.
is this
Have a
something
look.
like the washing machine that you've got?
Oh, no. Well, I
It's
tell
got
you
the
what.
old, it's got the
I
old
tell you
rigger
what,
at the top.
I tell you what, I'm not joking. My mum had one very similar to that
Really?
when we were kids. Yeah, absolutely. And she had a tub, and she used to boil everything on the cooker.
Yeah.
Listen, I've had a fantastic book sent to me,
Oh, yeah.
and it's called Eggs or Anarchy.
Eggs or Anarchy?
Yeah. And
Okay.
do you know what it's about?
Eggs and Anarchy?
Well, that's the sort of thing. But it's the book about a guy who was called what was his name now? Woolton. His
Woolton?
name was Woolton.
Woolton.
Yeah, what's his name? Right.
Woolton, what, as in the carpets? Well, that's Wilton, isn't it?
No. Excuse me. He is Duke Morgan. Right, Lord Woolton.
Lord Woolton.
This guy was Lord Woolton, right? His real name was Fred Marquis.
Right.
Right, but he inherited a title for some unknown reason, which I'll get to later.
Presumably from his father.
And no, because he was a working class boy.
Oh,
But
was
he had Neville Chamberlain had something to do with promoting him in the government or something,
Oh.
and he became Lord Woolton. Anyway, guess what his job was during the Second World War, appointed by Winston Churchill.
I don't know.
He was made Minister of Food.
Minister of Food, yeah.
And
Well, they had to ration it, I suppose. It's
well,
quite a big
I was
job.
about to say,
Big job, that.
it was the most difficult job, other than fighting the war.
Yeah.
Because what he had to, his job was basically to stop Britain starving.
Yeah.
And whilst the U-boats were sinking all the merchant shipping, and while Hitler was barricading and
But would it be true to say in those days
Yeah.
you got less food from abroad than you do now? I mean, for example, now, as we know, you
Yes.
can get, pomegranates from any part of the world. You can get
Yep.
strawberries from any part of the world all year round. You get oranges from all over the place.
Well-
in those days, you didn't have quite so many foodstuffs coming in, did you?
you did almost, I mean,
I don't think so.
I do. I think, honestly, I looked at this book and I skimmed through it, and things like meat, 2/3 of the meat that we ate in this country came from the Commonwealth and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
You know
really?
what I mean? Yes. And but it's a fantastic book because
I'm surprised at that.
we could have starved to death. Literally, the whole idea, Hitler's whole idea, was to do a Stalingrad on us and surround us
Yeah.
as an island.
Well,
and,
that's the easiest thing to do, I
yeah,
suppose.
and starve us. But this guy, he was so brilliant. He did things like invented the powdered egg and all this kind of stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
You've had that, haven't you? Even though you don't like eggs. Did you not say you've had powdered egg?
No, I've never.
Have you never had it?
No, honestly,
Really?
no.
I told you there used to be, in Battle, there used to be a place called Yesterday's World.
Right.
Which was like this kind of quite interesting
Oh
little,
yes, yeah. About
sort
how
of-
people
but
survived
you
and
would,
all that. Yeah.
but you would go through, and they had a section about different times of history, and they had some powdered egg, and
Yeah.
they had also a ration book.
Right.
But it's gone now.
Yeah, oh,
don't know,
really?
they've done
Oh,
away with it,
that's
yeah.
a shame.
Yeah,
There
it's
was
not
one of
there
those once at the Imperial War Museum, which I was going to take my mum to see because she grew up in that era.
Right. Well,
But
she must have been at the Imperial War Museum, surely.
Hey?
Has she not been there?
No, I don't think so.
Well, never.
Well, she's very rarely been to London.
Really?
You know, she was born and brought
Well,
in
you should
Chester.
bring her to London more often.
Moved to Bournemouth
Yeah, but
when my
you
sister
should bring her
moved
to
there.
London more often.
Well, I'm not sure she's that keen on coming to London, you know.
Probably not that keen on seeing
So
you.
listen, what happened here was the Ministry of Food was much more active than you thought.
Uh-huh.
For instance, his office endured with bated breath the wait for the shipping convoys that would bring food from overseas.
Oh, yeah.
They worked through the night to locate stockpiles when a boat was torpedoed, taking with it the nation's entire supply of bacon for the next 3 weeks.
Oh, would that come from Denmark, maybe?
Yes, yeah, or even as far away as New Zealand or somewhere like that, you know.
But why wouldn't we have our own bacon?
Well, I suppose they
Well,
did
they're
have our
kind
own
of pigs.
bacon, but we imported a lot of bacon.
Yeah.
Wilton knew he could remove luxuries like bananas from the ration book, but was careful not to deny the British their bacon and eggs. It was eggs or anarchy.
Right.
So it wasn't just the fact that he was stopping the nation from starving to death. He had a huge role in keeping morale high.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you could still go down to your local corner shop and get a couple of eggs or something like that, it felt like...
Even if it was powdered eggs.
Even if it was powdered eggs, it felt like, you know, the war wasn't that bad after all.
I must say, one of the greatest sort of things about being with the British Army
Yes.
was the food that they give you. When I was in Bosnia, I was staying in very close to one of the army bases in Tez, and they used to let us go in and have breakfast and eat the food there.
Right.
The food was magnificent. Absolutely amazing.
Was it
'Cause,
American base?
No, it was British one.
Oh, British base, okay, yeah.
Because they say, you know, an army marches on its stomach.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And it was tremendous.
Absolutely.
I used to go in there and see Martin Bell in the morning having his breakfast.
Oh, yeah, Martin Bell of the White Suit.
That's him.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
very same.
He became an MP, didn't he?
Well, he did briefly, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah,
But for one term as a kind of protest candidate.
Yeah,
right?
he was an independent MP,
Yeah, no, he's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
Scottish Bully says this: what a cheap and nasty Parker pen. You can pick them up in WH Smith's for $4.99.
No, rubbish. Utter rubbish. You've
Well,
got the
you can
model.
get yourself another one.
You got the. I will get another one, but it won't cost $4.99. Believe me.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, these things happen, mate. You know,
Right.
and just got to get over it.
No,
just got to
indeed.
get over it.
Now, how about this story? I don't know if you've seen this.
Yes.
It's from Ottawa in Canada.
Oh, yes.
Which is, we both said, one of the most boring parts of the world ever. So you don't want to get stuck there in a snowstorm.
Yeah.
They've got a thing there called the Managed Alcohol Program, right? And they're treating a bunch of chronic alcoholics.
Oh, right.
At a place called the Oaks,
Yeah, well,
which is
I
like a
wouldn't know anything
permanent.
about
Well, I'm not suggesting you would know anything about it.
Yes.
But guess how they're treating them?
Go on.
Giving them wine.
Really?
Yeah.
What sort of wine?
Well, alcoholic wine.
Well, and what's the theory behind this?
Well, the theory behind it is that there's no good taking people who are addicted to alcohol and taking alcohol away from them.
Yes.
That basically what you need to do
Is wean them off it.
Is not just wean them off it, but just get them to drink smaller amounts of it, right?
Yeah.
At exactly half past every hour, the pour begins. You get a measure of Californian white wine, which is 13% alcohol, made on the premises.
13%?
Yeah. Measured
That's very strong wine, isn't
No,
it?
it's not. No, wine is anywhere between sort of, I would say, usually 11 and 14.5, 15.
Okay.
I mean, a strong red
Yes.
would be around about 14.5.
Okay, fine.
Something like 13 is a sort of average wine, okay?
Right, okay.
Measured into a jug from a draft tap behind the counter.
Yes.
And the wine is then dispensed to nearly 50 alcoholics. They get one at 7:30.
Yeah.
A Kickstarter of 7 ounces, which is 200 millilitres. And then throughout the rest of the day, all the way up to 9:30, they're given 5 ounces, so once an hour.
I don't understand that because the whole thing about alcohol is that it's addictive.
Yeah.
So remember the snooker player Kirk Stevens used to play in white. I interviewed him once and he'd given up drink.
Right.
And I remember his famous conversation I had with him. There was a can of beer about, right?
Yeah.
And he picked it up and he said, "Do you know what would happen if I drunk this can of beer?" And I said, "No." He said, "Neither do I."
Yeah.
That's why I
Okay.
don't.
Well, the thing about this is...
I mean, you can't stop once you start having one.
Yeah, but that's the point. They're giving them measured amounts over the period of time of the day, so that they're not giving them the whole bottle, right? So they come back for the next bit. But that's how they keep it under control.
Yeah,
I'll
but
explain
after
it more to you later.
after two of those, they'd be breaking into shops and stealing it and all that kind of stuff.
No. It's
They
stopping
would.
them. It's stopping them from drinking hairspray, drinking mouthwash, and all that kind
I
of
think
thing.
it's
You have
mad.
no understanding of
I think it's
alcohol
mad.
and its problems, do you?
Oh, I
That's
do.
very
Yeah,
clear.
I do. I
That
have
is very clear.
a huge understanding.
You had a drink today?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes.
You're going to come clean about it.
What about you?
Yeah, I have as well.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the
I had a
problem?
couple of pints. Well, you just
What-
said
what
you
do you
don't drink. You don't drink during the day, you told me.
Sorry, why are you getting judgmental on this?
Well, because I think time for me to get judgmental on you, since you've been judgmental on me for years.
Rubbish.
This is Talk Sport.
Non regrette rien, ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, tout ça m'est bien égal.
One of the great stirring songs, that, isn't it? You probably wish you were in Paris tonight, celebrating with the French, you know.
What is that song?
It's Edith Piaf.
Yeah, I
Je
know.
ne regrette rien, I don't regret anything.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
basically.
okay, yeah.
Well,
Well,
you recognise Edith Piaf's voice, right?
yeah, I do. Yeah. I quite like the French culture and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
but I have a minimal interest now, really, in that final because it's
Why?
Well, it's France and Portugal, isn't it?
Well, it's going to be a great game of football.
You think so?
I think so, yeah. I
They're
think
usually
so.
quite tight affairs, these finals, aren't they?
Well, I mean, I think I'm not one of those that would have preferred to see the France-Germany game or prefer to see Wales in the final or England in the final.
Yeah.
I will be watching it because it'll be a great game of football. Let's talk to Janusz Michalik, who is, of course, from ESPN, a former professional himself. Janusz, a very good morning. Welcome to the show.
How's it going?
Yeah.
Yes, Edith Piaf. I'm old, man, because I remember all that stuff.
Yeah, but it conjures up this great image. Apparently, the streets of Paris are celebrating, and after what's happened in Paris over the last year, I think it's fantastic news that the French are in the final. But can you honestly say, Janusz, that you expected Portugal to be their opponents?
I didn't expect it. I actually had him in a semifinal, but believe it or not, I don't know how I came to that conclusion really ahead of the tournament. But maybe Cristiano, I don't know. But look, I mean, today was the final, but let's give credit to Portugal because I suppose if they're at their best, absolute best, they may have a chance. But France certainly are heavy favorites.
Yeah, I mean, they started as favourites in the tournament. We saw their opening game against Romania. It wasn't particularly impressive, and they were kind of slow burn at the beginning. But when they played Iceland, it seemed like they hit their rhythm, just in time.
Yeah, I just don't think that, a lot of teams have to be at their best, right, with the new format. And by the way, I'm not going to knock it. But, if you like to, that's probably the reason. I mean, if you know that you can only win one game and most likely go through, you probably don't need to be at your best. And as you know, I mean, good teams grow through the tournament, and they certainly have done that. All that talent's got to come good at some point, right?
You would think.
Yeah. Janusz, do you think that France are now the overwhelming favourites to win this competition? Because, I don't care what people
You just
say.
said they were.
Yeah. I don't care what people said. Is it because Portugal are a one-man team? Because Portugal are a one-man team, aren't they?
Well, they are and they aren't. If you remember the golden generation, there are plenty. But I think in a way, it's almost better because they flew under the radar. I think they're well balanced, as you saw. I mean, they can actually defend. I don't necessarily remember, the golden generation of Portugal, in years past, a team that was known for their defending, right? So I think they had to find solutions because they knew that, for the most part, it's Cristiano Ronaldo. Nobody truly knew what Nani can offer, which, by the way, he's been pretty good, but, they didn't know that ahead of the tournament. So they may be more dangerous than we think because, how defensive they were, and they were pretty good at that. Take that Hungary game away.
Yeah, but he's such an exceptional footballer, Ronaldo. I mean, his heading ability alone is something that people don't really focus on, but he's one of the best headers of the ball in the game. When he leapt to score that goal in the semi-final, do you know he could have won the world high jump record because he leapt so high? It's true.
Well, he would have had to go over a bar, though, wouldn't he, for that?
No, I'm telling you, he's 6'1" and he jumped 2 foot 9 inches off the ground because I saw it measured. And he is such an athlete. He's quite a phenomenon, isn't he?
Look, I mean, it's two things. I remember, when Poland played against him, two things you have to do. Not allow them to play on a counter because they almost bypass midfield, right? They try to get behind you with the pace of Ronaldo and Nani, and you have, you can't allow them to close the ball because of what you just said. And, Poland did that. I mean, Poland could have easily won that game. It was 50-50. So I think France will be able to counter that. And, as for Ronaldo, we know he's great. We know, the other day somebody was saying, can you believe he's had 120 shots in the tournament, this, that, or the other? Yeah. And they're saying how great he is. But, that also means that he's selfish. And it works for him sometimes, it goes in other times. Because, how many times have you seen players in better positions where he forces strikes and takes all the free kicks? which he hasn't been successful, as you know. So, look, I mean, there's always a chance. And when you have a special player like Ronaldo, of course you can't dismiss them. But, France just has 4 or 5 more special players, I think.
Yeah. Well, France have been tremendous. I mean, what did you make of the game last night? The Germans kind of, started off as if they had a couple of players missing. But, they are the world champions, but they're clearly not as good as they were just 2 years ago, are they?
I don't know. I mean, maybe they weren't as good, but, consider this. I mean, never mind all the injuries they had ahead of the tournament. But think about that. Before the game, the entire spine of the team was missing.
Yeah.
Hummels, Semi Khedira, and Mario Gomez, right down the middle, the 3 most important players that they've had in this tournament. And not only that, at 1-0, you lose Boateng, who is arguably the best center-back in the tournament, at least, one of the 2, right? So, I mean, given what they've lost before and during tournament, before this game, I thought Germany were outstanding. I mean, that German team was better than, 20 full teams that we've seen in this tournament. I thought they were very, very good. The difference is simple, guys. I'll end it on that, but look, I mean, at every tournament you have to have a player that consistently scores, right? And Germany have had that with Miro Klose and Thomas Muller in the World Cups. But, they just didn't have it here. And look, Griezmann, look what he's doing. You have to have a player like that. Every World Championships, every European Championships, winning teams usually have a player that scored 4, 5, or 6 goals.
I mean, Griezmann has kind of emerged as the star of this tournament. Really, hasn't he? There hasn't really been any others, would you say?
Well, he's the number one. There are no questions about that. You can't look elsewhere and say, I mean, in fact, all the big-time players have disappointed, really. I mean, Ronaldo lately, but, you look at Thomas Muller, you look at Lewandowski, you look at, most of the English players, right? I mean, it's just been very, very...
Well, I think all of the English players, really.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I said, most of the English players.
Yeah, but...
I wanted to go easy on this.
No, sure. And, Janos, the thing is, despite the fact that they're now in another final, and France have twice before won the title when the competition's been played on their soil, they've won the Euros before on their own soil, and they've won the World Cup there, but despite all that, people are still asking questions about Didier Deschamps, aren't they, the French manager? People still won't kind of recognise him as the great manager he is.
Yes, he's been absolutely outstanding. He made a couple mistakes early, but he solved them immediately at halftime. Remember that second game? I don't know if it was Romania. I can't remember which game it was. He had a big decision ahead of this game because, of course, Adil Rami and Kante were available. He kept the same team. Yep. And look at Umtiti. I mean, this player, this is his second cap, or his third cap, and he's going to Barcelona most likely. I mean, he was absolutely unbelievable. At one point in that game, I saw research. I don't know if you saw that. He attempted 84 passes in this game, since he's been on the pitch, and completed all of them.
Sure.
He's a center back. I mean, so look. I mean, and on top of that, Payet didn't have a good game today, but neither did Giroud. So
sure.
I mean, Griezmann is just unbelievable. I mean, I
certainly is,
and I watch him every weekend.
Yeah. Do you think that that Payet, because of he's had a pretty good tournament, you'd have to say, generally speaking, and I take what you say that he didn't play great last night. But do you think he's going to be able to be kept at West Ham, or do you think someone else is going to take him away?
I think he stays. I hate to say this, but I'm still somehow, there's part of me that's not convinced about him. I think he needs a certain environment, and certainly good coaches will provide that for him. But, at his age, that was a great season. If he confirms that next year at West Ham, I'm going to be a super believer. I don't doubt his talent. I know what he can do on set pieces, and I know how good he can be, but I kind of liked him, I liked him to be more of a two-way player.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. I have no explanation for that, boys. I have a little bit of a doubt about Payet still.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, Janos, we'll be watching the final on Sunday, of course, although Porky says it's going to be a bit boring. But thank you very much indeed for joining us. Janos Michalik there, former footballer himself, now with ESPN, saying that he thinks France are really massive favourites. But it can still be a surprise. There's always been surprises throughout this tournament.
Oh, yes.
Here's one from Alan who says, ha, 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 Porky kidding on, he doesn't know the strength of wine. This is Talk Sport. I've had this song in my head for the last few days.
Why?
I don't know why.
Why?
I don't know why.
Where did you hear it?
I do own it. I do own it. But, I mean, before this week, I've had it in my head, running around. I don't know why.
I bet you it was playing somewhere when you were out bladderating yourself last Sunday night.
No, I wouldn't think so,
I bet it was.
No, because it's not the sort of song they play
Who sings this?
It's Kraftwerk.
Kraftwerk, yeah, I don't know much about them. Listen, there's something we haven't...
Kraftwerk.
There's something we haven't touched upon yet.
So the women's cricket's on again.
Well, it's funny you should say that. Funny you should say that.
Quite a lot of people there today.
Women's cricket's on. No, there's hardly anybody there. Is it the Women's World Cup or something?
I don't know. No, I don't think so.
No, I think it must be, because different teams are playing.
Yeah.
But I was going to say to you...
NatWest Trophy, maybe.
Yeah, look, there's nothing happening there. There's nobody there, look.
But there's no stand.
No, well, that's right. Well,
There's a church.
It's a very small ground.
Yeah.
But on that very subject, I was going to bring up and say to you, what we haven't mentioned is that we are about to appoint another female Prime Minister in this country.
It certainly looks that way, doesn't it?
Well,
some of the front pages are saying that, aren't they? A woman back at number 10.
It's going to be that. There's only 2 left on the shortlist, right?
Yeah.
One of them is Mrs May,
but you
and
know
the other one
as
is...
well as I do that a week is a long time in politics, right?
No, Mike, they're going to vote now on
Yes, I know that. I'm
Andrea
aware of that.
Leadsom or Theresa May.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
So it doesn't look like that. It is going to happen. There is going to be a woman Prime Minister.
All I'm saying to you is that how often have you thought something was going to happen, particularly when it comes to the Tory party, and then they kind of,
you don't understand.
They eat themselves.
The process,
I do understand.
The process is so advanced now.
No, I get
it's
that.
It's a choice between Andrea Leadsom and Theresa May.
I understand that.
So you saying, it looks like it's going to happen. No, it is going to happen. We're going to have a woman Prime Minister.
I wouldn't be 100% certain of it if I were you, because it's too far away, because it's not
going
to happen.
Saying, I think we'll replace the Pope with somebody else. You can't. The system says the Pope is in
if the Pope
office.
dies, he gets replaced.
Yeah, because he's got to die first.
In the case of some popes, they get removed.
Well,
you might remember that. You see, you would have said that could never happen.
It would have to be.
You would have said that could never happen, and it did happen.
It would have to be one of these 2 ladies dying, because one of them is going to be...
No, it wouldn't.
Yes,
That's
it would.
rubbish.
They cannot replace those 2 candidates with any other candidates.
Yes, they can.
No,
they
could.
There could be
You've gone mad.
No, I haven't.
You've gone completely mad.
You only have to go back to the night of the referendum when I told you what would happen and you completely predicted it all wrong.
No, you don't understand the system.
I do understand the system. Why don't you let me finish and then you might learn something?
No, I won't
It's
learn
entirely
anything.
possible that during the election process something goes wrong, i.e. Leadsom gets exposed as a bit more of a fraud than we thought, and then she suddenly withdraws. Theresa May is suddenly then left with, the single candidate.
Yeah.
Somebody else is put up against her. Any number of things could happen.
No.
You know the Tory party are very famous for knifing each other in the back.
Oh, all parties are.
Yeah, of course.
But
anything is. All I'm saying is that in politics, anything is possible.
Tony Blair was only Prime Minister because he knifed Gordon Brown in the back.
Well, no, he didn't knife him in the back. He had an agreement with him that he would be the most electable guy, and Gordon Brown agreed to it, and he was going to. Yes, he did.
He agreed to it very reluctantly.
No, he didn't. He agreed to it because he knew that without Tony Blair at the helm, they wouldn't get in.
Peter Mandelson was the man who constructed that deal, and he went to Gordon Brown and said,
Alistair Campbell.
Yeah, we'd like you to step aside.
Yeah.
And he said, what are you on? He said, what do you mean? I've been working for 20 years as a backbench MP.
That's not how he talks.
Running the Treasury to take this role, and I will not stand aside.
Yeah, but he
and
did
they said,
though.
well, if you don't, if you don't, there won't be a Labour government.
Yeah.
And then
so he agreed to do it. This is TalkSport. We are the 2 mics, and of course there will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on in the day. Now, you've got a little announcement for us, Mr. Parry.
We certainly have got an announcement. The podcast is not going to be around for the next 3 weeks.
Well, it will be.
Well, it will be, but it won't be in the form that it is in now.
Well, it will be.
Well, it won't be.
The podcast is not going to disappear.
Well, it's not going to appear at the same time.
That's true.
Now, the reason for this is that next week we are delighted to have been recruited to our sister station, Talk Radio, and we will be doing the 10 to 1 show in the morning.
In the morning,
so it's 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. all of next week on Talk Radio. But can I just assure you all, we ain't going to get serious. We are just going to do our show on Talk Radio, but it'll be the same show as you're listening to now.
Well, hopefully not exactly the same.
Well, I mean, it'll be
you'll be talking a bit less rubbish, hopefully.
It'll be the same in style.
You'll have had more sleep as well, which would be a good thing.
No, I won't, because I'll be here very early. I like to plan these things.
What time are you going to get in?
About 4:30, something like that.
You're going to get into the office at 4:30 for a show at 10?
Yeah, I think that's I think that's a realistic target.
Will you take a picture of the clock when you get in at 4:30?
Yeah, of course I will. Of course I will, yeah.
Okay.
It's not a
well, I'll
problem
hold you to that.
Yeah, okay.
I'll hold you to that.
That's fine, because I like to get, I regard the middle of the night as my time, and the rest of the world's asleep, and I'm active.
Really?
I strike while the
So
the
when
rest
do
of the
you
world
plan
is
to
sleeping.
sleep then when we do the 10 to 1 show?
Well, I mean, listen, if we finish by 1 o'clock lunchtime, maybe a couple of beers just to talk through the show.
You think?
Away by 2:30, paperwork till about 6:30, 7, phone calls, emails to other parts of the world to get the time zones right. I'll get plenty of sleep, don't worry.
Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not worried.
Yeah.
And of course, following that,
The 2 weeks after that.
2 weeks after that, we'll be in the same 10 till 1 slots.
We will.
But that'll be on Talk Sport.
That'll be on Talk Sport.
So there might be people who will say, "Oh, you've left the light people alone." But we won't have done because you get the podcast.
Yes.
And I think actually it may well be that our show is repeated afterwards during the night anyway.
I think you'll find that it will be. In the slot that we occupy now, you
Right.
will be hearing the daytime show on the two mics, both on Talk Radio and perhaps even on Talk Sport. The other issue we'd like to point out is that we do have listeners around the world.
We do indeed.
So, for instance, Becky in New Zealand is listening to us now, but as New Zealand are 13 hours ahead,
Yes.
it is for her 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Is it?
3 o'clock in the afternoon.
What now?
Yeah.
Right.
3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Uh-huh.
Now, that means that when we start a show at 10 a.m., it's 11 p.m. for her at night, and she's got to stay up till 2 in the morning. But I'm sure she'll make that sacrifice.
I'm sure she will. Absolutely
Indeed.
right. So that's what's coming up. And also, we
Yes.
should also mention that we're back on Sunday, are we not? On the warm-up.
Well-
from 11 o'clock this Sunday.
Sorry, haven't I told you about Saturday?
What? No.
No, well, I'm sorry. I'm broadcasting.
Well, you're
on-
here as well. You're here on Saturday.
Yes, I'm.
Well, why haven't you haven't told me this?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. I thought somebody would have told you. I'm
No.
doing Clash of the Titans on
You're
Saturday.
doing Clash of the Titans.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
That's from 1 till 5 on Saturday.
I mean, you've not got enough work.
well,
So we're on basically, until the Friday morning.
Yes.
And then you're back on Saturday.
Yes.
You didn't think it was any reason to tell me about that.
Well, I don't want you to feel left out or anything like that. You know what I mean?
No, I don't feel left
I
out.
just got recruited to this
I don't
show.
work on Saturdays, as you know.
Oh, you don't? Okay,
No.
yeah, okay.
No.
Well, I thought
didn't
you-
used to work on Sundays either.
I was
but
about to say.
I've had to make that sacrifice, obviously, because
Yes.
high cost to my family life.
And what time is our show?
It will start at 11 a.m.
This is on Sunday.
on Sunday, yeah.
Till 2.
Right, I think the British Grand Prix is going to be somewhere around that time. I
Oh,
would have
that's
thought.
1 o'clock. That's great. We'll
I wonder
get
if you
the
can
start of that.
replicate your Lewis Hamilton sort of curse in reverse,
Well,
as it were.
yeah,
Do you like that? Curse in reverse. I
Curse
quite
in
like that.
reverse. I
That was
picked
very
it-
good.
I picked the winner, didn't I? Eh?
You
And
certainly
that-
did.
And that is quite something.
Now, so that's enough about what we're doing, but
Yeah.
we thought we should tell everybody because
Yeah,
it's
indeed
quite a
we
big
do.
thing. We're very excited about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, coming up, we've got a man called Dr. Chris Winter who's going to be telling us about his version of the sleep problem.
Yes.
How about this from Adrian, looking at your picture of your pen?
Yes.
He says, did Porky get that pen from a famous life insurance company?
No.
Like as a free pen?
Well, is that the one that Michael Parkinson advertises?
Well, I didn't want to particularly give away the name. I don't know if
Yeah.
he still does that, actually. Does he still do that
Yeah,
one?
I'm sure I still see the advert in which he says, and you get a free pen.
There's
just,
there's loads of these ads, right? There's one that runs...
Yeah, you get a free pen just,
yeah.
for making the phone call.
There's one that I see, which is the guy who wants to get life insurance, right?
Yes.
And he's quite young, and he rings up and he's like,
That's
"Oh
right.
yeah, I hear
Much cheaper
I'd like
than I thought."
I'd like to protect my family."
Yeah.
And then they go, "Yeah, well, the great news is it's only something like, well, we can get you cover for whatever it is, for the first-
£100,000.
for £100,000. The first year, it's only £7 a month, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And they say, don't forget, we'll give you a refund at the end of the first year of something like 10% of your thing.
I
So
know.
you basically get £7 back.
Yeah, that's right.
You
yeah, I
know, but they make it sound like some kind of fantastic deal.
I know, it's all ludicrous,
It
isn't
is. Now, how about this from Hale Hale? He says Buckfast used to be 17%. Now it's down to 15%. This is, the
The killer
proof of
one.
it. Did
Yeah.
you know that chemists used to sell it? It gets a bad press because it's made by monks.
I'm
no,
sure
it
it
gets
does.
a bad press because it's drunk by jakies.
Yeah, that's
why
right,
it gets
yeah.
a bad press.
Yeah, jakies. What are jakies?
Jakies is a Scottish word for tramps.
Yeah, winos and all
Yeah.
that kind
Have you
of
ever
stuff.
had Buckfast?
No, I don't think I have.
I once did a show in Scotland.
might
and I
have had it
thought,
as a kid.
because it was a kind of it was the thing that was fueling all the kind of
Yes.
social unrest.
Yes.
and young kids drinking Bucky on the
Sure,
corner.
sure.
So I actually did a show drinking Buckfast.
Yeah,
to
that's-
see what it would be like.
Yes.
To see how strong it was.
Yeah, right.
And it was at 10 o'clock in the morning till
Yeah.
1 o'clock. I have
Yeah.
to say, by midday,
Yeah.
I was quite bladdered.
Yeah, oh,
quite
you would
strong.
Be. Yeah, of course you would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, there's an amazing story floating across the Atlantic,
Oh,
which will really interest you and I. Did you ever have any dealings with the finest? You know, the New York cops,
New York City,
NYPD.
absolutely, yeah, all the time.
And I did as well.
Yeah.
I remember going and meeting two female police officers from the NYPD.
Yeah.
And they brandished their gun and. The only thing I can say is, the only image in my head I had was of Clint Eastwood standing over the punk. You know, do you feel lucky, punk?
Yeah.
The Magnum, the world's most powerful. It was a huge gun, and these girls weren't big. I mean, they're about 5'3" or something like that. They had this huge gun strapped to their waist and all kind of stuff.
Right.
But we had a run-in, didn't we, with the police once when our mate got frozen to the bonnet of the car. But that's another story. But
Yes.
anyway, what about this? Police closed one lane of a busy tunnel into Manhattan on the orders of a businessman who was bribing senior officers, according to prosecutors. And you know where it was, of course? It was the Lincoln Tunnel.
Yes.
Which comes up at 50...
It comes at around sort of 48th Street, 45th Street, something like that.
No, it's... hang on, 42nd.
Well, it's the Holland Tunnel.
That's 38th, isn't it?
Well, it kind of... The entrances go from 38th up to about 45th.
They do, yeah. But anyway, the closure, which reserved an entire lane of the Lincoln Tunnel for a visiting foreign businessman, was one of a series of favours senior policemen allegedly performed for Jeremy Reichberg.
Who's he?
Well, I'm just about to tell you. And Jonah Reichnis, two prominent entrepreneurs who were also fundraisers for the New York Mayor, Bill de Blasio.
Oh, dear.
The two men are said to have spent more than $100,000, £68,000, on police bribes between 2012 and 2015 in the form of flights, luxury hotel rooms, repairs and improvements to the individuals' officers' homes, and their selection of prostitutes.
Oh, dear.
They got, in effect, a private police force for themselves and their friends, said Preet Bharara, the U.S. attorney...
Who?
No, his name is Preet Bharara.
All right.
The U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. Effectively, they had cops on call.
Right.
I mean...
This is almost as big a scandal as that one with Governor Christie from New Jersey, who was gerrymandering the roadworks to make sure that people couldn't actually get where they wanted to go.
Yeah. I mean, it happens all the time in America, doesn't it? But it sounds to me very much like the plot of Peaky Blinders. I'm not sure how far you got into Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, well, I've got into... I'm not quite finished the first series yet.
Yeah. Well, they had the whole of the West Midlands Police, as they are today. They'd been called the Birmingham Police in those days, at their beck and call.
Except for the Irish guy, presumably, who's trying to bust them.
Well, that's right, yeah. Now, it says one of the men is helping with the criminal investigation and is named in court papers only as cooperating witness, although he has been identified as Mr. Reichnitz, who is 33, that's not very old, is it, to be a mafia boss, who is described as a Brooklyn property developer.
Was he a mafia boss?
Well, it doesn't say that.
I thought they said he was an entrepreneur.
Yeah, well, what's the difference? You know, when you're bribing cops and you're in property business. Yeah. Who's the centre of several inquiries. After making a donation to a police football team, that's where it started, right? He was invited to a team dinner and met Mr. Reichberg, the other businessman, who described himself as a police community liaison officer.
Oh, yeah.
The two men are said to have started working together, and Mr. Reichberg introduced him to a series of senior officers. Thanks to these contacts, Mr. Reichberg could call police to disperse people who are outside one of his jewellery stores, handing out advertisements for a rival company.
All right.
He'd call on police whenever he felt that he was at a disadvantage business-wise.
Dear me.
Officers would help him to obtain gun licences, provide police escorts through town, i.e. cars, you know, with flashing lights and all that, and special access to parades and the New Year's Eve party in Times Square. Unbelievable.
Well, nobody does corruption quite like the Americans.
Well, exactly.
You do it like that. I mean, I've got a couple of funny stories to tell you about that coming up in a little while.
Indeed.
Here's one from Scott, who says, MG, buy some matchsticks for Porky to be able to do the day show and Pro Plus, although that may not be good for his heart.
Yes.
Lots of other stuff to come, of course, including how much sleep you should actually get. Dr. Chris Winter's going to join us shortly. This is TalkSport.
She gets too hungry for dinner at 8. She likes the theater and never comes late. She never bothers with people she'd hate. That's why the lady is a tramp.
We're going to do listography a little bit later on in the show as well, so we might throw out for some of those.
Please,
we've got loads coming in all the time now, but if you fancy tweeting some now, at the two mics, #listography, we'll be continuing that, of course, all the way through the next 3 weeks when we're working during the day. How about this one from Georgie, who says, be advised that the couch cover, Mr. Parry, is commonly known as an anti-macassar. Have you ever heard that word?
No.
Anti-macassar? I thought you grew up with a parlour. I don't know what the relevance of parlour is.
Well, the parlour's a northern thing. The parlour is, go and talk to your nan in the parlour.
Yeah,
no, I know.
But why would that be of any relevance to a couch cover?
Well, that's probably where you had your couch, if you see what I mean.
Couch is an interesting word, because a lot of people say that couch is because I've always said couch, right? Yes. But it's the Americans say couch. I think in Scotland they say couch. Yeah. But in the south of England, people say sofa.
Sofa, yeah.
You know, they don't say couch.
On the sofa, on the couch.
Yeah.
Well, the couch is the couche, isn't it?
Couche?
You know when you went on these skiing trips to like Switzerland when you were a kid at school.
Yeah.
You went in the couchettes.
The couchettes, yeah. Well, that was in the train where you slept, right?
Well, the seats converted into beds.
Yeah, well, they folded down, didn't they?
They folded down.
Yeah.
They're fantastic because 1 minute...
When I went to Switzerland skiing, I flew, actually.
Oh, you flew?
Yeah.
No, we went on the couchettes, and it was brilliant.
Must have taken a long time.
Well, it did, going through France to Switzerland and rattling through the French countryside at sort of 3:30 in the morning with the sun coming up was just brilliant. I loved it. Loved the French bread as well. French coffee, it was good. Now then...
I've got a worrying thing here from Percy. He sent a picture. He said you can now get Buckfast in cans. Makes it easier to smuggle into football grounds.
Right,
Result.
Okay.
That's not a good idea.
Now, today, you know that they announced the live Premier League games for the first sort of part of the season.
Oh, did they?
And I'm rather upset because Everton...
Everton's opening games against Tottenham, isn't it?
No, Sunderland versus Everton.
Is that the first game?
Yeah. No.
But I mean, the
that's
first actual game is Spurs, isn't it?
No, Everton's first game's against Spurs.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that you and I might take a weekend trip to Dublin.
Really?
Anytime soon.
What, to see Everton?
Well, the thing is, you know that, like, people say to you, when I go on holiday to South Africa or the Caribbean and all that, I can watch all the games at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. That's now been extended to Dublin. Right? Okay. So, for instance, Everton...
Well, hang on, you can't watch all of them, can you? You'd have to have about 15 screens, wouldn't you?
No, you can watch your own club. You can go over there and you can select your own club, okay?
Right.
No problem.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm saying is this, that Everton, in the raft of games announced, the televised games...
Yeah.
They only get one, Sunderland versus Everton, which has been switched to Monday, the 12th of September.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, when I'm looking and thinking, can I spot a popular badge here?
Right.
I see Liverpool got 3.
Yeah.
They've got 3 fixtures in the same period of time.
Yeah, but it probably evens itself out over the whole season.
Well, this is from August to the end of September. Liverpool on 3 times, Everton on once.
Right.
That's not on.
Well,
I'm
why
not having that.
Well, why not? Maybe in the next period that you get released, you'll see that Everton are on 3 times, Liverpool are on once. I mean, they can't do favouritism, can they?
No, you think it's the strength of the... Oh, hang on.
I'm sure there must be a reason for it.
You think it's the strength of the fixture, maybe,
Well,
rather than anything else?
Yeah, it might be, yeah. Although you would have thought Everton-Tottenham's a better game than Everton-Sunderland.
Yeah, but Everton-Tottenham's 3 o'clock on the Saturday, you see.
Right.
And they've decided not to change it. And the reason why, I was just about to tell you, is that is going to be the first game which will be seen in real time in Dublin this season.
Oh, I see.
So that's what I'm saying. We might take a flight over to Dublin on the opening day of the season.
Well, I'll have to consult my diary and see what I'm doing. I'm not just some guy that can just take off whatever.
Yeah, get on.
I have responsibilities.
Get into one of those hotels on St Stephen's Green, right, and get bladderated watching Everton live. Mind you, I suppose you can do that. It'd be just as easy to go to Goodison Park and watch the game. Really,
it would actually, yeah. Or indeed any pub in London.
Yeah, well, no, because it's not on at 3 o'clock, you see. It's only in Dublin. Now then, you said, and I will quote you if you challenge this,
all right,
that don't be ridiculous. Harry's not up for the England job. He wants to... Right.
He doesn't expect to get the England job, and I don't think that he would want the England job, but what he wants is a role within the organisation.
Right. Neil Ashton, you would agree, is a rather prominent member of the sporting press, OK? Inside track on footballers' big stories. Harry for England is an itch we can't stop scratching. OK?
Yeah.
There are times in life when you simply have to go and get something out of your system once and for all. Henry James, Harry Redknapp, and the England manager's job is one of them. The country will never quite move on until we know for certain whether Redknapp could make a go of it in the biggest job of them all. This is Shearer and Newcastle, Bilic and West Ham, Mourinho, Manchester United, but on an international scale. And basically what Neil says when you read the whole piece is that, it's something that should be tried out. And I agree with him. I totally agree.
So he's not saying that Harry Redknapp wants the job, is he?
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
He is.
He's saying he thinks he should get the job, which is not the same thing at all.
Right. Redknapp wants his name above the door at Wembley. You can be sure about that. He's come out of nowhere, in with a shout of becoming England head coach after he was sounded out by FA headhunter Dan Ashworth.
Yeah, I mean, he's already spoken to them, right? So, I mean, if they were thinking about appointing him, that would be a different matter. But my understanding is that he's spoken to them about who he thinks they should appoint. And I don't think it's him.
That was part of the conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
But it wasn't all the conversation.
No, but what I'm saying is that I think that England would be reluctant, or the FA would be reluctant to appoint Harry Redknapp because he would be seen as going backwards because he was already in line for the job 4 years ago and he didn't get it.
Yeah, but they've got a different chairman now, so they can always say, well, Mr. Bernstein was a complete oaf.
Yeah.
And he missed an opportunity.
But don't you think it's rather difficult, though, to then make out that they're this more, sort of, forward-looking, thrusting organisation if the best idea they can come up with is to go back to 4 years ago and give somebody a job that they already considered?
Well, I can only refer you to what they keep saying as their mantra, the best man for the job. Well, he must get the best man for the job.
But but 4 years ago, but 4 years ago, Harry Redknapp was the best man for the job because he was doing great things at Tottenham.
Yeah.
But what he's not doing, but 4 years have gone by, and you'd have to say that he's no longer as well qualified for the job now as he was then.
I believe he is.
Well, I thought you wanted Sam Allardyce for the job.
Well, I didn't think Harry was in the running, but it looks there is a consensus building behind Harry Redknapp to say he should be given the job. How famous is Rita Ora?
Rita Ora, very famous.
Because Lewis Hamilton is knocking around with it, according to reports in tomorrow morning's papers.
When you say knocking around, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, he's pictured frolicking with her on
frolicking
around a swimming pool.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, she's very famous, I would say.
Yeah. Well, is she a singer?
She is a singer. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
She's been on. She's not been on The Voice as well, or something like that.
Oh, probably,
or the X Factor. Was it the X Factor or The Voice, one of those?
I don't know. I never watched either.
Yeah, but I mean, there was a time when you, as a tabloid journalist, would have had to keep abreast of all this stuff.
Sure, I agree, yeah.
You'd have had to know who everybody was.
Oh, yeah, I used to.
Why don't you still do that?
Because they're not part of my job brief anymore, and so I don't waste my time.
Well, they should be, though.
No, they shouldn't. I don't waste my time anymore looking at those trashy programmes that I used to have to watch, because I had to be able to tell the editor every morning what the plot of the EastEnders was.
Oh, right.
For some bizarre reason.
Bizarre. Well, I mean,
he's obsessed by it.
I hope it was slightly better than your description of Coronation Street the other night, which everyone roundly suggested was about 5 weeks or months old.
Yeah, I don't know why they're so unappreciative.
I know. It's very odd, isn't it?
No, these pictures of Lewis Hamilton and Rita Ora in Montenegro.
Oh, Montenegro.
No, I've never been there.
No, I haven't either, but it's right. It's part of the former Yugoslavia.
That's right, of course it is,
it's near Kosovo.
Yes, that's right.
Sort of around the Greek area.
Yeah.
Brendan says this, I also call it the sofa. When I grew up as a kid, the sofa would be commonly known as a settee in our house.
Settee, yeah, it's called the settee as well.
I've heard it called that as well.
Sofa, settee, couch. Yeah, get a
it's
few
weird
names
how
for
you
that.
can have so many different stories, right?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely right.
What do you mean, different stories?
Different stories of one particular household, one particular household, piece of furniture.
Sort of growing up and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
exactly right.
I totally agree.
And Phil says this, Porkypedia got it wrong again. We're 11 hours ahead here in New Zealand, not 13.
OK, well, thank you for pointing that out. It's the time of the year, the clock changes in this country, GMT and all that kind of stuff. That means Greenwich Mean Time. So 11 hours.
Yeah.
So that means that old Becky then is on 1:30.
Why are you so obsessed with her?
Well, because she's a regular correspondent,
and
therefore I believe she deserves
recognition.
recognition.
There's lots of people who are regular correspondents, but you don't sort of address them individually.
OK, could you name another correspondent we have in New Zealand, please?
In New Zealand?
Yes.
Not right off the top of my head.
Exactly,
no.
of course you can't. So you're talking
but
Boulder Dash again.
But we have plenty of people who are in New Zealand.
Yes, of course we do.
Particularly that guy that just sent us a tweet saying that you got the times wrong.
Yeah, well, thank you very much indeed. What's his name?
Phil,
thank you, Phil.
He's in Auckland.
That's very kind of you.
Yeah,
Eh?
and he actually sends us quite a lot of regular messages.
Does
as
he?
well.
I'm very...
because he's not a woman, you're not interested, right? He's not a woman, so you're not interested.
Of course I'm interested. I'm interested in all our listeners. I'm just looking at...
How about this from the professor? Redknapp left QPR because he said he needed an operation on his knees. Has he had one, or was it an excuse to get away from QPR?
I think that knee problem has been rectified, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, so he's all right now, is what you're saying. Because, I mean, at the time he said he couldn't actually manage a club anymore because he couldn't do the necessary walking around
that's right.
you need to do.
Yeah, but I'm sure he's had that corrected. Funny enough, we worked with him a little bit over the course of the tournament.
Yes, we did.
Because Harry was working for the same betting company that we were.
Yes, indeed.
Now, we've also got listeners in Canada. Steve sends one in. He says, "Hi guys, loving the show from Canada." He says something about the new schedule we've just read out.
Does he?
Podcast unaffected. Keep up the great work.
Yeah.
Loving the show from Canada. Is missed that new schedule. I think he missed the new schedule.
Did he?
So do you want to repeat it?
No.
Okay.
No, you're afraid you have to catch it on the podcast. This is Talk Sport.
You've done too much too young. Now you're married with a kid when you could be having fun with me. Oh no, not you ain't no more big
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Couple more people here from New Zealand. Ernie says it's Ernie here, also from New Zealand. He's tweeted in.
Ernie,
and
good to hear from you.
Lord Rallo says, I'm a regular correspondent from Philadelphia, and El Plenko never mentions me.
Well, we have now,
Yeah,
so thank you very much indeed
Thank
for
you.
corresponding.
Yeah,
Good to
keep
hear
those
from you.
tweets. Don't forget to send us some listography as well. Hashtag listography at the two mics, and we'll be doing that a little bit later on.
Yes.
Right now, though, we're going to talk to our favourite sleep expert, Dr. Chris Winter.
Great.
He's going to be telling us not only is it good to have the right amount of sleep, but it can actually be just as bad as having not enough to have too much.
Yeah.
Chris, a very good morning to you. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Not at all. Now, previously, you and I have had conversations about Mr. Parry and our fears that he may not have had enough sleep over the course of a 24-hour period. But it turns out that having too much sleep, which he often accuses me of doing, is just as bad.
Yeah, it's an interesting relationship. I mean, when you look at sort of sleep hours that people acquire, it makes a nice little bell curve with the people kind of in the middle enjoying the more robust life and the longer lives, and the people on either end not doing nearly as well.
Right. So why would that be?
And there's a lot of theories about that. Number one is that, the people who are spending too much time in bed or too much time sleeping may be suffering from other things, like, for instance, concurrent depression, or they may have other medical issues that make them feel more tired or fatigued, like heart disease, things of that nature. If you're spending a lot of time in bed, you also are not spending time doing things like burning calories or exercising. So there's always been a lot of debate the other end of the bell curve means. So it's just one of those things where I think that individuals need to kind of figure out the amount of time they need for sleep and really target that number. Just like more food is not necessarily better. You don't want to starve, but you don't want to overeat either. There's a nice spot there in the middle.
Chris, isn't it almost impossible, almost impossible, to be to make this general assumption about how much a human being needs to sleep when each individual is so different? For instance, I never sleep more than 3 hours without waking up. It doesn't matter if I've been up for 3 days. It doesn't matter whether I'm dog-tired or not. I simply never sleep for more than 3 hours. Before I awake, I'm restless and I get up again. So everybody individually must have their own sleeping patterns.
That is absolutely 100% correct. And I think that a lot of times studies and research like this, and individuals perfectly fine 7 hours.
You're cutting out a lot, Dr. Chris.
Nine is better, so they try to get 9, and that's not necessarily.
We'll see if we can get you a better line,
Yeah,
actually, there,
so,
because otherwise it sounds like you're fading in and out of sleep as we speak. But, I mean, the thing that's important, as we were saying earlier, is that because we're now sort of changing our routine over the course of the next few weeks, you'll have to go back to that routine of trying to find whatever times you sleep. I mean, if you sleep from, say, 11 till 3 in the morning or something like that, which is what you used to do, right?
Yes, exactly. That's what I used to do. But, you see, I simply don't sleep like... When you say to me sometimes, we had such a long day, and you go home, say, at 7 a.m. or something like that, and you tell me you can sleep till 4 in the afternoon.
No.
Without waking up?
No, that's not true.
Right, well,
I've never said that.
Well, how long would you sleep for?
I mean, normally what happens is I sleep for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Because I wake up because I know I have to get the podcast sorted out.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back to sleep, and sometimes, I would say the longest I can sleep during the day in a chunk is about 4 hours.
Yeah, see,
but very, very, very rarely more than that.
Well, I'd rarely sleep more than 2 hours, to be honest. I mean, I might sleep 2 hours, might get up and I might sleep another hour, but I can't sleep in daylight. I find it very, very difficult to sleep in
But you should get
daylight.
blackout blinds, shouldn't you?
Why?
Because then it feels like you're actually...
But then you feel like some oddity, you know.
No, well, you are an oddity, though. You might as well just accept it.
Why do you need blackout blinds in your house and all that kind of stuff? And anyway, I prefer sleeping with the curtains open rather than the curtains shut, if you see what I mean.
I think we've got Dr. Chris back, hopefully on a better line.
Right.
Chris, sorry about that. We were like only hearing every third word. What's your recommendation about blackout blinds? I mean, because having had kids, I found them to be a fantastic. Because in the summer here, of course, in this country, it doesn't get dark until about 10:30 at night sometimes, and it gets very light very early in the morning. So if you've got kids that wake up in the light, you generally get blackout blinds, and it's a good thing. Shouldn't Porky get some blackout blinds so he can sleep during the day?
Oh, blackout blinds are fantastic. I mean, they're definitely, if you're somebody who's a shift worker, I would say they're essential. But for anybody, the test I always tell people is that they should, lie down on their bed around lunchtime and make the room as dark as they can. And if it's easy for them to get out of their room, then your room's not dark enough. So I think the darker the room, the blacker the room, the better for your sleep.
Yeah, just talking about that, Doc, when you say, if people sleeping during the day and all that, how does that disorientate your brain? Because ever since cavemen...
It doesn't take much to disorientate your brain.
Please ignore that stupid little aside, Doc. I can't help his idiocy. What I'm saying is, ever since we had cavemen, the idea of going to sleep was always because when light went down, you went into your cave and slept, and then when light came up, you came out of your cave and you went around hunting for food. Now, isn't it quite illogical for the brain to be told to put the human body in which the brain exists to sleep during the day?
It is a very unnatural state because light produces the discontinuation of a chemical in our brains called melatonin to make us sleep. So it's one of those things where they actually did a research study one time where they put welding masks on shift workers, so they were exposed to zero, really minimal light from the time they left their office until the time they got home, and those individuals slept much better. So even the smallest amounts of light, your brain will interpret as being awake during the day or trying to sleep during the day, and it's very detrimental. So especially for individuals who are going back and forth from day shifts to night shifts, it's so taxing on your body that the World Health Organization considers shift work a Class 2A carcinogen, meaning it causes cancer.
Really?
Very disruptive to your body.
Yeah, and how do you know, for example, because you normally know when you haven't had enough sleep because you feel kind of a little bit sort of spaced out and, well, not just tired, but sometimes you can feel as though everything's much more kind of dull, What about if you've had too much? How do you know if you've had too much?
A lot of people who talk about getting too much sleep have very similar feelings. In fact, we often call it sleep drunkenness. So it's sort of that situation where you fell asleep and woke up on Saturday morning, at your normal wake-up time when you would go to work, but you just kind of rolled over and went back to sleep, and now all of a sudden you're waking up at 11 o'clock, and for the rest of the day you just kind of feel hungover. So I think most people are kind of aware of it, or most people have stories of when they've overslept or slept too much, which often happens on the weekends for people. They definitely feel, they don't feel nearly as rested as they thought they would given the extra sleep they achieved.
And Doc, also, do people know how to properly prepare for sleep? And the reason I ask that is because I've had a chronic heart condition for a few years, and one thing I'm told is...
So you say, anyway.
Don't... I'm so sorry about this idiot in this studio, Chris. One thing I'm told is don't eat anything heavy for 2 or 3 hours before you intend to go to sleep, because the heart has a number of functions. One is to pump blood, second to keep your lungs going to breathe, but the third one that it most stresses out on is trying to digest food in your body when you're asleep.
Yeah, that's probably a very good piece of advice to follow. Now, there are certain foods that are probably more beneficial to sleep. Higher carb foods, foods with a bit more tryptophan in them. So there are, chamomile tea is a fantastic thing to drink before you go to bed. So if you absolutely do need things to eat before you go to bed because you feel like your hunger is going to prevent you from sleeping, handful of nuts, yogurt. There's some better things to choose than spicy foods, chocolates, caffeine, heavy protein or meat. Those things tend to be more wake promoting.
No, also anything with sugar in it's going to give you a bit of a sugar rush as well, isn't it? I mean, that's the other problem. One of the things I have to be careful about is not drinking too much tea when I do this show. If I have a cup of tea beyond, say, 4 o'clock in the morning, I find that I sleep a lot less better when I get home. But
you have to worry about intake of sugar as well, because you're so fat and you don't want to get more obese,
well,
do
as
you?
I've said before, Porky, you're more than welcome to do a test with me and see who weighs more. You, of course, weigh 99 kilograms, as we saw in the letter from Dr. Banner.
You're gross.
And he called you overweight, did he not?
Well, that's irrelevant.
He said that it's a worry, because you've got a heart problem, and you're probably going to die if you don't lose any weight.
That's irrelevant to sleep, and we are talking to a sleep expert, so I don't know why you're wasting your time ranting against me.
Well, I'm not ranting, I'm just raising the issue of who's fatter than who. We can have a weigh off any time you like.
Not at all.
Dr. Chris, caffeine presumably is a bad one for if you're going to try and go to sleep within, say, 2 or 3 hours.
It is. Yeah, we usually try to get people to get off the caffeine bus a little bit earlier than that before they go to bed.
What about cheese? If you eat, because there is this kind of old wives' tale, if you eat cheese, you can have nightmares. Toasted cheese, just a hunk of cheese. Is there any kind of relationship to cheese and nightmares?
That's interesting. Somebody asked me that one time in an article, and we looked it up and researched it, and we really couldn't find anything outside of some cheeses with certain molds on them having a little bit of a mild hallucinogenic effect. But I think with your standard cheddar or provolone or mozzarella, I think you're probably safe.
Right, okay.
What is the best thing then, Doc, to take as a drink or something if you want to be put to sleep? You know, I mean...
Put to sleep?
Yeah, I mean...
What, you mean killed?
No. In this country, we have things like cocoa, you know. Now, cocoa is supposed to be the
Too sugary.
It's supposed... what's in cocoa?
Well, it's warm milk is what gives you the sleep thing, right?
Oh, is it warm milk, yeah? Is it? I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
warm milk,
yeah?
people have thought that there's some of the proteins in milk is helpful, but also just the warmth of the milk. When you drink something that's warm, your body has to cool it to bring it back down to body temperature, and that act of cooling of your body can make your body feel like it's time to sleep. Most people, if they stay up really late, at some point will get chilled, and that's usually their cortisol dropping, their body temperature dropping.
Right.
So you can pretend that's happening with your body by drinking something like warm milk.
I see, yeah.
Well, Porky doesn't drink
your
anything.
body.
He doesn't drink anything that's not alcoholic. And one of the other things, right, is that when you're younger and you sort of drink too much, you get a bit drunk. You seem to sleep through the night. But many people say to me that as they get older, the more you drink, actually, the less you sleep.
Yeah, there is a difference between sedation and sleep.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times people say, when I, really tie one on, I'm very unconscious during the night. But it's pretty rare for somebody to drink heavily and say they actually feel better the next day, despite the fact that they may not wake up much during the night because of the alcohol.
Okay. And what about one final question? If Porky doesn't want to get the old blackout blinds, what if he was to wear a mask, like an eye mask? Would that be good?
They're great, yeah, as long as you find one that's comfortable. A lot of the newer molded ones now don't put any pressure on your eyeball, which is nice because even though it's even a slight pressure on your eye over a period of several hours can be very uncomfortable. Kind of like wearing headphones can be uncomfortable after a period of time. So eye masks are great, particularly for people who travel or can't control the light in their environment.
Okay.
I think those eye masks are dreadful.
I think you should get one.
On aeroplanes?
I think you should wear one.
I can never wear one.
I think you look very funny. You look like Zorro.
No, not at all.
Dr. Chris, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Doc.
Dr. Chris Winter there with his views on what we should be doing in terms of the change around of the body clock and all of that.
That's right.
Thank you very much indeed.
Do you ever see one of those films where the condemned man is kept in the condemned cell?
Yeah, well, like solitary confinement.
Yeah, but they keep the light on 24 hours a day,
Yes.
so he can't top himself.
Yeah.
And they give them the masks to sleep, don't they? Because
Do
they
they?
have to keep the light on.
Oh,
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
Oh, yeah. And
I think it's because they're not allowed
dreadful.
to switch the light off because it's a sort of, it's a health and safety thing, isn't it?
What?
They don't switch the light off because they have to always be able to see what he's doing.
That's what I mean. Yeah, in case he tries to commit suicide or something,
or escape. Even.
Yeah. Well, you can't escape from the condemned cell. It's right in the middle of the prison. It's right.
Well, some people can escape from anywhere.
No, it's right next to the room where they string you up.
Well, you think there's a sort of a plan for the condemned man's cell and the place where they string you up?
Yeah,
what have you been
of course
watching?
No, it's right next door. I mean, you have to sleep there, right, knowing that beyond that metal door...
Yeah, but where are you talking about?
I'm talking about inside a
Someplace
prison.
in a film?
No, that's what used to happen in the prisons.
Rubbish.
No, you were hung in a prison. Where do you think the hanging places were after... Tyburn was dispensed
Done away
with in
with.
the 1700s.
Yeah, but they didn't necessarily have the cell right next to it.
They did,
No,
honestly,
they didn't.
Mike, they
Rubbish.
did.
No.
The condemned man's suite, this was his...
Suite.
Right, this was his cell, right?
Is that what you get in Whitley Bay?
And our control...
Condemned man's suite.
Our control room there was where they
Right.
put up the hanging rope.
The gallows.
The gallows.
As it's known.
Yeah, and and the lever was there.
Yeah.
And you stood there, and then you just waited for the fatal...
Couple of goats operating it.
No, don't be ridiculous.
This is Talk Sport. We might do some listography coming up next.
Friends, you get some silver, you get a little gold. What did you bring me, my dear friends? Keep me from the gallows pole. What did you bring me? Keep me from the gallows pole. I couldn't get no silver, I couldn't get no gold.
There's a song I haven't heard for a while.
You know the way I do
Any ideas?
Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin, very
Yes,
good.
Yeah.
Very good
That's only
indeed.
because I recognised the singing of Robert Plant,
Robert Plant.
and the guitar playing of Jimmy Page.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Steve says it's no wonder Porky fails at everything if he doesn't sleep. Mind you, we don't when he's on either.
Well, of course you don't, because you're desperately listening to the wit and wisdom of the Porkmeister, you see.
Well, it's not just you,
Yeah,
you know. It is
yeah.
a two-man show. It is called
Well,
The Two Mics.
yeah, sometimes
I know
people
that you
take it-
actually do genuinely believe that it's all about you. Porky's telling fibs again about not sleeping,
Yes.
says Robbie.
Why?
Hashtag plank.
Why?
Rob says, well, nobody believes you. That's why. I mean, there's a reason why nobody believes a word you say.
Right.
It's partly based on the fact that, you know, you've been caught out telling fibs
Oh,
before.
really? Yeah.
But it's also because you couldn't possibly, as a human being,
Yeah.
exist without any sleep.
Okay.
This is not possible.
Well, I don't. You know,
Particularly with your heart condition.
Yeah, I don't exist without sleep. I just, have, I restrict it to about 2 or 3 hours because that's. I can't simply can't get to sleep after that, and I don't wish to try to.
Oh, okay.
Listen, have you ever heard of a condition called it's when you are on a tall building or something like that, or when you get to a height and you have a desperate compulsion to throw yourself off. Have you ever heard of this?
Well, I've not. I wouldn't say I've heard of it, but
Yeah.
I would say that having been in some very tall buildings and
Yeah.
having stood on the top of cliffs,
It's-
there is a certain kind of strangeness that can affect you.
Yes.
Where you start to think, oh, I wonder what it'd be like to jump off here.
Yes.
But it's no more than a sort of a passing thing.
Well, some people suffer from it so badly that they can't sort of walk over bridges and that sort of thing. So you walk
But is
over.
it not like a form of vertigo?
Well, there's a doctor here, Dr. Heather Sequeira, consultant psychologist, specialising in OCD.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's supposed to be a form of the what's that called? OCD.
Obsessive compulsive
Yes,
disorder.
that's right. Yeah,
Yes.
and you get anywhere, and there's a gap and a space and a depth below you.
Yeah.
You have the urge to throw yourself off. It's a recognised medical complaint
Is it?
called high place phenomenon.
Okay. Have you ever suffered from it?
Well, do you know what? It's absolutely funny because I read this in one of my medical journals, seriously, and it's a feature on a woman who says, "I am so afraid I can barely speak. My legs shake as I try to root them to the floor. I fear for my life. The cause of my terror, a ride on the big wheel at a fun fair, was the first time I realised I had this compulsive desire to throw myself to the ground."
Well, you told us a story last week, didn't you, about being on the big wheel?
Well, it was a couple of
and
weeks
being-
ago,
and
and I'm
being
gonna go.
and being sort of terrified of it.
Yeah, for some no reason.
But that wasn't because you wanted to jump off. was
No,
it?
it wasn't. No, it's because I thought it was going to collapse. You
Yeah.
know, seriously.
Right.
But the funny thing is, Mike, you say that. Now, we often walk over bridges in this town.
Yeah.
You know, particularly when we worked at the Express. The Express building was literally on the south side of Blackfriars Bridge.
Yeah.
So you would walk over. And in fact, that was the bridge where God's banker,
That's right.
Roberto Calvi,
That's
was
him.
found hanging underneath.
He was indeed.
With bricks in his pockets to
Yeah.
make sure that he was his neck got broken
Yeah.
when they strung him up.
Right, that was the Vatican banking scandal,
The
wasn't
Vatican
it?
banking scandal.
When was
yeah.
that? Back in the sort of late 80s or something?
Yeah, late 80s, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and actually, you don't have much access to the side of the water because there's a railway bridge next door as well.
There is, yeah, but not on the other side. I mean,
On
if
the,
you
on the
walk
other side, you can, yeah.
On the west side.
But I have definitely walked over one of the London bridges, and I think it's Waterloo Bridge to Waterloo Station.
Yeah.
When I have my eyes caught the water below. And I start thinking strange thoughts
Yeah.
about what would happen if you threw yourself into that
Yeah.
water. Would you survive? Would
See,
you
I
get
don't think that's
sucked
unusual.
under?
I don't think that's unusual. I
Yeah.
don't think that means that
Yeah.
you suffer from that particular thing. I mean, where would you say is the highest place you've actually stood and looked over? Would it be? I mean, did you used to go up any of the tall buildings in Manhattan?
No, well, I've never been up
You never
the...
went up the Empire State.
No, never went up the
You
Empire
never went up
State.
the World Trade Center when it was there.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
But did you go on the
I did-
observation deck?
No, but I had dinner in Windows on the World,
Yeah.
which is the one below the observation
See, I think
deck.
it only counts if you're outside.
Yeah, I think it only counts if you're outside. I mean, I can't go close to the edge of anything that's not got a rail or something like that.
Right.
Even if I get
Like
down...
Beachy Head, for example.
Like Beachy Head. Even if I get down on my hands and knees
Yeah.
and I'm crawling on my belly like a snake,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I
What a
won't,
horrible image that
yeah,
is.
Yeah, I won't go right to the edge because I fear that the ground below me will crumble and
Yeah.
I'll be cast down.
I mean, one of the things that I've done, which was quite terrifying, was when I was telling you about the trip to Gran Canaria.
Yeah.
And I took this car over the sort of centre of the island.
Right.
Which is very quiet and deserted, but at
Yeah.
some point on the way back, had to come back along the coast road.
Yes.
And it was about something like 2,000 feet up a cliff.
Right.
But there's no barrier.
No,
So you're driving, and it was on the right side of the road.
Yeah,
obviously,
I know what
'cause
you
it's-
mean.
And I was driving around this very windy sort of cliff road, and it was quite frightening. in the sense that you knew if you went over the edge, there was nothing to stop you.
Well, that's how
straight into the sea.
That's how Princess Grace of Monaco was killed.
Yeah, but that was on the Corniche,
one of those
wasn't it?
roads. Yeah, exactly.
But they've at least got barriers there.
Well, I didn't even know that because sometimes I remember as a kid when we used to go to Swallow Falls, which is in North Wales. I remember we used to come back through some of these Welsh valleys, and they were exactly like that. Roads on the edge of a valley with no barriers to stop you from running off the edge and all that kind of stuff. But we're
supposed to be doing listography here, or choosing listography.
Yeah, well, definitely we will. But I'll tell you where it really got me once. I went up in San Francisco. I went up an elevator on the outside of the building with a glass floor. I nearly died. I nearly died.
Yeah, when it comes out and you're suddenly you're exposed.
Absolutely.
But it must have glass sides as well.
It did, yeah. It had glass sides and a glass floor, and it is. Yeah, it's terrible.
But you're still inside, luckily. All right, now come on. There's a few here. 3 things you would like on your wish list. Or for Mike Parry, the bucket list. Before he kicks it, says Liz.
I don't believe in bucket lists. I think that's nonsense.
Ashley says the 3 venues around the UK you would like the Two Mike Show to be played at. 3 country cities you haven't visited but want to visit and why you wish to go. I think we've done something similar to that. 3 car crash interviews you've had. Bringing the Cluedo game into the 21st century. What new character, weapon or room would you add?
Yes.
Name 3 DIY jobs you've done on your own or disasters where you've had to call the experts. Another one about live venues. Here's one. 3 ambitions you want to achieve within the next 3 years.
Yes.
The 3 saddest moments of your lives, or the 3 happiest, excluding childbirth.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that means your own or somebody else's. 3 new taxes that should be added, and 3 that must be removed.
Right.
3 World Cup or Euro matches. 3, and then we're back to some of the ones from yesterday. 3 heroes or people you looked up to who didn't live up to your expectations.
Well, which one do you fancy?
I quite like the idea of 3 DIY jobs you've done on your own.
Okay, fine.
Or disasters where you've had to call the experts. Do you think that would work?
Yeah, well, let's have a look at it.
That's from Jason.
Because we can always talk around the stories, you know. And they can be very interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure yours will be particularly interesting, as they always are.
Yes,
This is Talk Sport.
Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? I travel the world and the 7 seas. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes. Coming up in the next hour, of course, it is the Porky quiz. It is about the 2 presidents, George Bush and George Bush. We'll see whether Porky can tell the difference between them, whether he can get more than 2 out of 10. How about this from Roy? He says, I often listen on my phone while walking when Porky drones on. I often get the urge to throw myself under a passing car.
Oh, really? Well, I tell you what, next time you get that urge, mate, just go ahead. Just go ahead,
I don't think you should be urging that at all. That's a terrible thing to say.
Yeah.
Daniel says, if Porky stood at Beachy Head, there'd be a long queue of people waiting to push him off.
Oh, really? Yes,
And
that's
Lord
very nice.
Rallo says, Porky loves to change the subject when MG starts to read out the tweets. # man of the people.
No, I don't. No, I don't at all. I've got a few tweets here.
Go on.
It says here that somebody's carrying a story tomorrow morning about did Vladimir Putin kill a double agent? If so, why? I think that's great.
Well, where's that from?
Well, it says it's going to be in a paper tomorrow morning.
Really?
But I've searched through papers and I can't find it.
Well,
so.
but who's telling you this, or can you not reveal the person?
No, it's one of the newspapers tomorrow morning plugging itself and its news list, right?
Oh, I see, right.
But I don't see it there, so where it should be.
Oh, right.
And also another one from Keir, a rather insulting
Here
one.
from Keir,
whose thumbnail picture shows him holding like a stein of beer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a huge
like a big, the thing you'd find in the old Munich Beer Festival.
Yeah, that's right, Munich Beer Festival. So the guy's obviously a bit of a clown drinker, you know, he's trying to boast that he's a big drinker. But anyway, he says, Clash of the Titans should be reported to Ofcom for breaching the Trade Descriptions Act, as Porky has never been a Titan.
I think that's probably correct. Who else is on the show with you? Any other Titans of the modern sporting world?
Tony Cascarino.
He's good.
Who's a terrific guy.
He's good. He gave you a hard time, didn't he, last time?
No.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did. He was absolutely ripping you to shreds.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he was.
About what?
About whatever it was you were blethering on about.
No, I think he was.
Yeah, I think he was.
I don't remember being ripped to shreds.
Well, you don't remember much.
I think the MC, or the guy who asked the questions, because, you know, maybe...
We asking the questions?
Yeah, maybe he has trouble answering the questions, I don't know. Is Dance.
Dance?
You know,
he's gone late. Is he still supporting Roy Hodgson?
I was about to say, the England insider.
Yeah, the insider. Well, he was, to be fair, not in this tournament.
No.
But in the World Cup.
Yeah, but you see...
You may have to bring this up, you know.
Well, you have to ask questions.
By the way, we've seen the time.
To ask questions as to why he wasn't doing it this time.
Well, I think that's very harsh. Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to the Two Mics, and we're keeping you entertained throughout the night. Coming up in this hour, of course, it is the Porky quiz. Some people say it's their favourite part of the show during the course of the week, of course, and it is on the two presidents, Bush and Bush. We'll find out how much Porky knows about them, whether he can tell them apart, and exactly how well he's going to do. 2 out of 10 is my projection, but he may do much better than that. You're listening to the Two Mics with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics, and of course there will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. And then, as we said earlier, we will be back on Sunday for the warm-up, which will be just in time, I guess, for the Grand Prix. Andy Murray will be playing tomorrow as well, so there's quite a lot of sport going on this weekend.
Andy Murray's playing today, isn't he?
Well, later today.
Today, Friday.
In addition to the sort of final on Sunday night, which you say you're not going to bother watching, which I find to be a complete dereliction of duty, by the way.
What do you mean?
Well, I think you should watch the final of the Euros because we'll be bound to be wanting to talk about it at some point. Yeah, you said you weren't going to watch it.
No, I'm saying that it's not, it's not huge on my list of priorities because England aren't in it. So, but I will watch it.
Well, I think if you're going to use that as your criteria, you're not going to be watching the final for a while, are you?
Yeah, considering we had to restart the show yesterday because you couldn't understand my explanation of why I'd never been to Cardiff Airport.
Well, no, I asked you a straight question.
I think
have you ever been to Cardiff Airport? And you answered with some long rambling load of old cobblers about how you'd been to Russia and back, but then admitted that actually you'd never been to Cardiff Airport.
I think we should actually remind the audience that Cardiff Airport is where it's all at today.
Yes.
Because the team are landing at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then the buses will be there for the open-top parade through Cardiff. I mean, Cardiff will be a place to be today.
It will,
If you want a bit of bladderation prior to the weekend, that is where you should be.
Yes. No, it'll be a fantastic day, won't it?
They start from Cardiff Castle.
Yeah.
Now, that's right at the bottom of the road by the T-junction there, isn't it?
Well,
it's not a particularly big castle, is it?
Well, no, it's got a big castle wall.
Yeah.
And it goes all the way around the corner and sort of around to, funnily enough, to where we stayed at the Holiday Inn when we were doing the tram shed.
That's right.
You don't remember much about Cardiff because you weren't very well.
No, I wasn't very well, no. Some guy misdirected me back to the hotel.
Yeah, you ended up coming back some kind of weird way, didn't you?
But anyway, what I'm going to say is that would be the place to be today, and I don't begrudge the boys a parade at all. I'm delighted they've got it, and some lovely pictures of Chris Coleman with his little boy, actually, this morning. His son, Finlay, who is the first child of the unison between himself and his wife, Charlotte.
Is that what Finn is short for, do you think? Your other big fan, the boy Finn.
Oh, yeah, could be. And by the way, I think they're having their second child any day now.
Oh, right, okay.
It's his second family because I think he's got 3 kids by his first wife.
Okay. Well, why are you making that point?
Well, only making a point that, now that the tournament's all over, he's kind of emerged as the family man, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas we regard him as a, tough, hard professional and all that. We saw the softer side of him today.
But it's like you say, I mean, in international football, you have a lot more time, you have a lot more downtime than you do sort of times when you're busy. Although, as we've said before, there's going to be, only a couple of months to go until the World Cup qualifiers start.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course
We've seen this story in the back of the Times, by the way. Tickets for Sunday's men's final at Wimbledon are being offered for sale for more than £21,000. In anticipation that it might be Andy Murray against Roger Federer.
Wow, that's
21
amazing.
grand.
Well, it will be Andy Murray against Roger Federer, won't it? Almost certainly.
Well, he's got to play. He's got to play. What's his name today?
Some half-baked?
Burditch. Well, not half-baked at all. No, I mean Burditch has been in finals before.
Okay.
And he's won. He's won a Grand Slam, I think.
Has he?
Yeah.
Which one? Do you know?
I think he won. Did he not win the French or the Australian or something a while back?
Who knows?
And he's a little bit sort of hit and miss.
Yeah.
Milos Raonic of Canada takes on Federer as well.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's good. Now, listen, I want to tell you about the way that Britain can improve its prospects at the Brazil Olympics.
Oh, yeah. Because that's not far away either, is it?
That's not far away. In swimming. Scientists...
As long as they have to swim in that horrible, German-infested lake.
I think they'll swim in swimming pools. Yeah. Scientists, I've come across a secret plot to make swimmers go faster. Do you know what they're going to do?
What are they going to do?
They're going to...
they already sort of shave all their hair off, don't they?
No, guess what now? They're going to oil the top of their heads.
Are they allowed to do that?
With oil, which has been extracted from a swordfish.
A swordfish?
Yeah.
Swordfish oil?
Yeah, swordfish. You know what they're like, don't you?
I'm very keen on eating swordfish, actually.
Really?
It tastes rather good.
OK. Now, the body of a swordfish is specifically built for speed.
Yes.
They have evolved with a streamlined body, huge tail, high-frequency tail beat, and a rough-textured bill. But now a university in Groningen Groningen.
Is that in Denmark?
It's in the Netherlands.
Oh, Netherlands.
Groningen
okay.
in the Netherlands has discovered that the reason that swordfish go so fast is because they have little sort of whatever they're called.
Well, they're fish, aren't they?
On their heads. No, which
Well, that's why they go fast. Is they're fish?
no, which emits oil,
Right.
which deflects water.
Well, like a sort of almost like a lubrication type.
Yeah, that's
scenario.
right. That's absolutely right. Yeah, little what's the word I'm looking for? Not valves. What do you have in your head when things come out of it? Pores.
A pore?
Yeah, little pores.
They
you
don't
know?
really, did they have pores?
Pores.
No, I know,
Yeah.
not pores.
Yeah, and
But, I mean, I don't think fish have pores, do they?
no, and that. Hey,
Because I don't think fish have pores as such.
yeah, I think they do.
Because I mean, we have pores.
Scales.
We have pores which allow us to sweat.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Don't we?
Yeah, well, fish sweat.
Fish sweat.
Yes, they do, yeah.
How do you know that?
Well, you see it when they leap out of the water and all that kind of stuff, and they're in nets. But anyway, that's another story.
Well, how can you tell they're sweating?
Listen, let me just tell you this. I got this from the Journal of Experimental Biology. There's a gland.
Right.
There's a gland.
A
near
gland might be what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, not a pore.
A gland near
They
the,
don't sweat fish. That's ridiculous.
a gland near the base of the sword, i.e., the sword on the swordfish. You know what I mean?
The sword.
The sword.
Well, it's
The
not really. They don't have a sword, do they?
Well, it
It's
looks like a sword. It's
No,
like
it
a
doesn't.
beak. It's like a beak, isn't it?
It's not like a beak.
They're called swordfish because the blinking
All right.
beak looks like a sword. You thick fool. If you can't work that out,
Well,
you shouldn't be sitting
you're
here.
the man that just said fish sweat because
Right.
they look wet when they come out of the water.
Right, listen to this. A gland near the base of the sword which produces oil to lubricate the head
Yeah, I said
as
that.
it cuts through the water.
Yeah.
The oil, combined with the skin texture, creates a surface that is super repellent
Okay.
of water.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
How
Well, maybe what they should do is get the swimmers to just get like a swordfish's face, and then they can, cut through the water with a sword on the front of them. That would be really funny.
What a stupid man you are. How fast do you think swordfish go?
I would say probably 30 miles an hour.
60.
Really?
Swordfish
That is fast.
Swordfish can swim up to 60 miles an hour, making them the fastest fish in the oceans, okay?
Wow, does that mean they can escape sharks and things?
Yes, they can.
Wow.
Yes, they can.
Have you ever had swordfish?
Probably.
Swordfish steaks. They quite often. I mean, you can buy them in supermarkets where you cut them and they look like a steak.
Yes, I know.
And
I've
you
seen
can,
it.
you
Yeah,
can saute them or you can grill them.
yeah.
You can put them on a
Yeah.
barbecue. Really good.
that's right. Now, the thing is, the big scientific debate now is whether or not to apply the swordfish's lubrication techniques to humans.
Right.
For underwater vehicles, it could be worth exploring. But people who own swimming pools will not be very happy with swimmers using it all the time. It'll leave all the oil in the pool. You
That's
see what
true,
I mean?
Yeah. But would there not be some kind of rule, Olympics-wise, about using
No.
sort of an artificial
Not at
swimming
all.
aid of
Not
some
at all.
kind?
Not at all. It's not artificial. It comes from a swordfish. It's very natural. It's a natural product, and
Well, yeah, but lots of things are natural products, but
Yes.
they're on the banned list, aren't they?
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
you can't smoke marijuana, which you could say is a natural product.
Yes, but the oil's not ingested. It's applied to the outside of your body. It's an external
Yeah, but
applicant.
it's still. But would you not still consider it, an artificial aid?
No,
if you
I
like?
wouldn't. No,
Really?
not at all. But if they can turn the swordfish oil into a proper compound which you
Yeah.
can apply on swimmers,
Right.
it could be amazing how fast you can go in water. Just imagine that. Just imagine swimmers going at 60 miles an hour.
Well, that would be ridiculous.
It
Wouldn't
would be a bit. Isn't
You
it?
couldn't
Yeah.
swim at 60 miles an hour.
No, you couldn't.
I
But
mean, that's a bit like saying they should be able to wear flippers.
no, it's not
Yeah, it
because
is.
a flipper is an attachment to your body.
Yeah.
It's, the swordfish oil is simply a coating on the body.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, isn't a Speedo swimming costume also just a coating on the body?
I suppose so, but that's
Yes.
why. Have you not noticed lately in swimming competitions they tend to now wear these all-in-one suits?
Yes.
They don't.
That's
Very
right.
few men actually wear small swimming trunks.
No, of course
wear,
they don't, because
wear,
it's a drag.
Yeah, they wear
Yeah.
these kind of very.
What a drag it is getting old.
Well, if you say
That's
so.
the word drag.
If
yeah.
you say so.
Yeah.
But no, they wear these kind of very what you might call tight-fitting sort of almost like wetsuits.
Yes, I know what you
don't they?
mean, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you going to watch the Olympics?
I don't have a great interest in athletics, really.
No.
No.
Okay.
Because I find it boring. I watched I went to I was chief, honcho.
Of course.
At the Atlanta 96
Chief
Olympics.
honcho of who?
For the Press Association,
Were
the
you?
world's biggest...
So you went there as the boss to have a
world's
jolly,
biggest
in other
national
words.
news agency.
Did you actually do any
I went
reporting?
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, I went there to control the team. We had 36 people there, and I was in charge of the
That's
whole
what
team.
I mean. You didn't actually do anything.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did lots. Yeah, I did
No,
lots.
you'd have just been ordering them all around.
No, not at all.
Telling
And
them to
I
get your
saw,
lunch.
the guy with the golden boots, Michael Johnson,
Oh, yeah.
win his gold medals.
All right.
How about that?
Well, I'm glad you remember
Pretty
it.
spectacular, isn't
Yeah,
it?
Did you interview him?
Not personally.
No.
Do you know who did?
Who?
Martin Lipton.
Did he?
Yeah.
When he was working for you?
Yeah, he works for me then in those days. That's right, yeah. He's now works for the...
That's before you threatened him with violence on Talk Sport.
Deputy head of sport on the Sun. Yeah, that's before I threatened him with violence on Talk Sport. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Absolutely shocking. We're getting very close to the Porky quiz.
Okay.
We should do listography coming up, I suppose.
Yes.
I don't know if we should do it next. We could do it next.
Yes, we
Talk
could,
Sport.
yeah.
We can scoop, muck and busy and rolly too.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. We've been asking you for your listography suggestions, and we decided to choose this one, which I think is from Jason, which is basically on 3 sort of DIY disasters, and things that you'd have to call in the experts on. You've probably got more of these than I have because of your vast property empire, where you might try to fix things by yourself.
You say that, but
and found that there was a big problem.
Well, you may be surprised.
All right. Well, I've got to get some thought to some of this.
Right.
So
Okay.
If you've got one, you can kick us off with.
Well, the thing
might
is,
be good.
because I know I'm no good at it and I am absolutely hopeless at it, I don't attempt a lot of this stuff. I get people in to do it. However, I do occasionally. So, for instance, I put together my Billy bookcases from IKEA.
Oh, yeah.
But the problem was, I put the back panel on the wrong way round.
Yes.
So instead
it's easy to do that, isn't it? It's easy to get to a certain point and
That's
then
right.
realise you're going to have to undo it all.
Have to undo it all and all that kind of stuff, right? And as a result, it's buckled, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because for some unknown reason, by putting it in the wrong way round, it didn't slot into the right grooves or something like that.
Right.
So it's fallen off.
Well, the problem with IKEA stuff is that if you ever move house with it, it usually only lasts like one house move.
Well, I suppose it would,
Unless you take it all down, which nobody ever does.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it just kind of collapses.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I think that's the only thing I've ever attempted. At IKEA again, I bought a dressing table for a bedroom, right?
Yeah, right.
But I realised within minutes of getting it home, I had no chance whatsoever of building this thing myself.
Yeah.
And funny enough, what had happened was at my place that I've told you about in Orwell Quay, which is
Suffolk.
in Suffolk, when I lived there, I decided to get a new wardrobe for the spare bedroom.
Yeah.
Even though it had a sliding doors wardrobe, I thought, well, I've got so many coats and all that
What,
kind
you
of
mean
stuff.
like a built-in one?
It's got a built-in one, yeah.
So you had a built-in one and a
Well,
standing
I had a
one.
built-in one, but the built-in one wasn't very big in the second bedroom, right? And I thought, I need another one for coats and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So I went off to somewhere, I think it was was it IKEA? I don't know, somewhere. And I bought this wardrobe.
Yeah.
But I didn't realise until it took 4 men to carry it out and put it in the back of my car how big it was. It was huge.
Yeah.
So I got it back into the apartment, which was on the 4th floor.
Yeah.
And then I realised I didn't have a hope of doing this. So, fortunately, one of the chaps who was working on the site, because they were still building flats, was Johnny Walk, the footballer who played with Alan Brazil. Yeah. His brother was like head carpenter on the site, right? Mm-hmm. And he, I sort of, took him for a drink and all that. I said, look, you've got to build this wardrobe for me. He said, it'll take a day and I'll need somebody with me. Right. It's a big job. I didn't realise anything about this. So him and his mate built it for me in a day. I paid him £200, which was fine. But the thing I was worried about with Johnny Walk's brother, I'm trying to remember his name now, actually. He might be listening because he's a big fan of ours.
He might be, yeah.
But anyway, he's 6
once again, I can remind you, we got 6 of these to get through.
Well, okay, he's 6'7".
Cut to the chase.
He's 6'7".
Yeah.
And he fitted out my bathrooms with things like cabinets, towel rails, mirrors, and all that. But he put the mirror up at the height that he could see into.
Right.
And as I'm 5'9" and a quarter.
Oh, I thought you were 5'8 3/4.
That's it, 5'8 3/4. Yeah.
You don't want to get that wrong.
No, I don't want to get that wrong.
Would be confused.
As I'm 5'8", when I went in my bathroom the first time to look into my mirror, which was on the front of my bathroom cabinet, I could only see the top half of my head.
Oh, right.
So, I had to remind Johnny's brother that I'm not his size because he was so big. But he did the job for me. But I'm afraid that's the way I respond to DIY.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to tell a story about the car, basically. You might remember this one because it wasn't that long ago.
Right.
But when the old jalopy started showing an oil warning light, and I thought, well, I better try and put some oil in this thing. And you know this story because you might have forgotten it. I went to Halfords and I checked and I thought I'd done very well because I looked in the handbook.
Got the right bulb.
And I looked on... What?
Did you get the right bulb?
Bulb?
It was a bulb you were
talking
after,
about
wasn't
oil.
It? Oh, oil, right,
It's
okay.
all about
Yeah,
oil.
sorry.
Do you not listen to a word I'm saying?
I thought you said bulb, yeah.
Oil and bulb don't sound at all similar.
Oh, go on, yeah.
Anyway, so I looked it up on the internet. I decided, I knew exactly what kind of oil, because there's so many different kinds of oil.
Of
right?
course, yeah.
I decided I know exactly what kind of oil to get.
Yes.
I saw exactly how big the oil tank was. So I went into Halfords and I said, this is what I want for my M-Class Mercedes. Is this the right one? He said, yes, absolutely. 5 litres of oil.
Yeah.
And I put the 5 litres in, put the whole lot in, because it was very, very low.
5 litres?
5 litres of oil, yeah.
That would wreck an engine.
Well, no, it didn't wreck it, though.
Yeah.
But the point was that as I started driving the car, it was fine until, the engine started heating up.
That's right.
And then I started getting this warning light coming on saying, oil max or something like that, it was a problem. And I thought to myself, I don't know what's going to happen here.
No.
And this light just kept coming on. And I thought, it's going to explode, it's
Yeah.
going to, burst the tank or something like that. So I had to end up taking it back to a garage where they had to drain about half the oil out.
Of course they would.
Because they said, well,
That's
you should
huge
never
amounts of oil.
you should never put that much in.
Exactly.
Well, I'm like you with DIY.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about cars.
No,
You know?
I don't, but I'd never put... I mean, I do know that the maximum amount of oil you put in an engine is 1 litre.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
And by the way...
Because they took out about 2, and they said 3 would have been fine.
Well, OK, fine. But, I mean, why you
But
never...
why would you have a 5 litre tank and only put in 2 or 3?
You don't have an oil tank. You have
You have a place where you put the oil. It has a capacity of 5 litres.
Mate, you just take the screw off the top of the block, so to speak.
Yeah.
The oil block.
Yeah.
And you pour the oil in.
Yeah.
It's not a tank. It goes directly onto the top of the pistons.
But it has...
Even I know that.
Yeah, but it has a 5 litre capacity. That's what I read.
Yeah, but 5 litres is the area in which the pistons
all right.
are bouncing up and down.
Listen, I'm not asking you for your
It's
advice
not
here.
5 litres
I'm
of
not
oil.
asking you
That's
for your
ridiculous.
advice.
I'm amazed that all your gaskets didn't burst.
Well, they didn't.
No, well,
No.
They should have done.
But I had
Which
to
car
pay,
was that?
But it was the one I've still got, the M-Class.
Oh, so no wonder it's such
But,
an old
but I
wreck.
had to pay 45 quid.
It's no wonder the engine sounds so rough,
But I
by
had
the
to
way.
pay 45 quid
Yeah.
to get the stuff taken out.
Well, I bet all your gaskets are about to blow, and I bet
That was months ago.
the big end's going, small
It was
end.
months ago.
Oh,
All right, let's have your second one.
My second one. Well, you see, I'm not
As
sure there's
usual.
a second one
Well,
because
it doesn't have to be. I mean,
Well, no, what I was going to say is
it can be any kind of, DIY-related scenario.
Sure. I tell you what I did once, and this is a car one as well. I bought a really old wreck. This is in my early days of journalism when
Yeah.
I was still up in Newcastle on the
Right.
paper where everybody went on strike.
Yeah.
And I bought this old wreck, and I'm not joking, it was terrible. It was like 90 quid I paid for it, right?
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, it was literally rusting to pieces.
Yes.
And if you stuck your finger hard enough into the wing, it'd go straight through. But anyway, I decided to tart it up. I would get some of that anti-rust stuff that you can paint on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I spent one weekend painting all the stuff on, and it just ate the car away.
Yeah.
Instead of getting rid of rust, it
Right.
got rid of everything.
Really?
Because the car was rust.
Right.
And I came down on the Monday, and there were huge, great holes in the. It was a disaster.
Yeah.
I was running round in a car that looked like it had been in stock rally race. You know what I mean?
Right, and it was air coming inside without any air conditioning.
It filled up with water when it rained because it came through the floor and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Another absolute disaster. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, like you can say, I'm like you. I mean,
Yeah.
I tend not to put much together. I mean, my
Exactly.
the mother of my kids is the one that sort of puts things together. And the last thing I tried to put together was somebody bought
What,
one
really?
of my kids.
So the mother of your children's better at these things than you?
Oh yeah, she does all that. Yeah.
Really?
But if that's the case, then I basically look after the kids, or I
Yeah.
do the cooking that night, or something like that. 'Cause
Sure.
she had to spend like an entire day once,
Yeah.
trying to put together some football goals that one of the aunties or something had bought
Right.
for the kids. Right,
Yeah.
They come in this very, very complicated box.
Yes.
Where you've got to not only put the goal up, but you've got to put the netting on.
Right.
And the netting has to go in a particular way.
Yes.
And you have to wrap it around the posts and around the crossbar.
Yep.
And around the other side of the post. And if you get any of that wrong, you just have to start again.
Sure.
And I tried about twice, and I was out there for about an hour and a half.
Right.
And I just said, look, if I carry on with this, not only will I not be able to do it properly,
Yes.
but I will destroy
Right.
the goalposts and the goals and the net.
Right.
And I'll just throw it all in the bin and set fire to it.
Yes, exactly.
So she said, all right, well, you better leave it to me.
Yeah.
And it took her about 3 hours.
But you got them up.
And she got them up. We were cursing, actually, my sister who'd bought them.
Right.
And had them sent over from the
I
States.
see,
'cause it was
yeah.
so difficult to put together.
Yeah, exactly,
It was
yeah.
an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. No, it can be.
So I stay well away from it all.
Right,
Because
okay.
I also have no patience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I'm not sure I've got a third one, to be honest.
Well, my third one, I suppose, is going to have to be a lamp I tried to put together. And this was a lamp you buy in a big box, but it was an exotic lamp which had...
Exotic?
Yeah, it had like metal rods which you put around the base
Right.
to settle the lamp on, in which you settled the bulb and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I've never, ever worked out how to do it. And it's an ornament now, but it doesn't work. 'Cause I plug it in, switch it on, but nothing happens, and that's because all the connections are wrong. Because seriously, I put it together wrong.
Yeah.
And, I'll tell you, the other thing was, in the days of when you had to put plugs on electrical appliances, I, generally speaking, always got that wrong.
Yeah. Did you ever get an electric shock from doing it?
No, I didn't, but I blew a lot of equipment, you know what I mean, by putting the wrong fuse in, or by putting the wires on the wrong bits of the plug and all that. I hated all that, you know. I can't I'm not dexterous enough to use a screwdriver or a spanner properly or anything like that. And if you give me a electric drill, it goes through the wall of whatever I'm drilling. It always does. I can't just go and then pull it out again.
Would you refer to yourself as cack-handed then?
Definitely. I just don't do it.
When I had the first house in Wiltshire, we had a conservatory, and it had a bulb in the centre of the conservatory, light. But there was some kind of problem with the roof and the felt in the roof, and there was a sort of dampness problem, right? And every time you put the light on, fused the whole house. So we used to have the kids trained, don't put the light on in the conservatory, because every time anybody came in, they put the light on, and the house would completely fuse. And nobody could ever solve that problem, because they said the only way to fix it is to completely rip off the roof, because the dampness has gone all the way in.
She was just taking the light switch out.
Well, I mean, that's what we ended up doing.
Well, you had to, yeah.
But even then, if you switched it on without a bulb in it, sometimes the house would fuse.
That's terrible, shocking.
Nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
My dad...
time, by the way.
Yeah, I have, yeah. My dad... he wasn't very good at DIY either, but he fancied himself. And in those days, nobody had any money. Yeah. So, for instance, he used to paint the house himself outside, right?
Yeah.
And he'd do it with a flamethrower thing, which would burn off the old
flamethrower?
Like
sure, it wasn't a blowtorch.
A blowtorch, that's right, yeah.
You'd have burned some bats with it.
Yeah, well, that's right, yeah. Which would burn off the paint. And then he was very thorough. He'd then put a primer on the wood, and then an undercoat, and then a coat.
Right.
The problem was, he fell off the ladder and broke his leg.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, because he wasn't very good at it.
Yeah.
He put up a ladder against...
Well, it's the cause of most injuries, isn't it, around the house?
Yeah, absolutely,
People doing DIY.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah,
right.
Pretty shocking.
Now, that was our listography for the day. We'll be doing more of that, of course, next week on the show on Talk Radio.
We will.
Coming up next, though, it's time for the Porky quiz.
Yes.
There's been a lot of talk about this next song. This song is not a rebel song. This song is Sunday, Bloody Sunday. I can't believe the news today. Can't close my eyes and make it go away. How long? How long? Let's we sing this song. How long? Too long. For too long. Tonight, we can be as one. Tonight. Broken bottles under children's feet. Bodies strewn across the damn streets. But I won't heed the battle call. It pushed my back up against the wall. Sunday, bloody Sunday.
That's a work of genius, that, isn't it? That's George Bush's voice stitched together to make the song Bloody Sunday.
Really?
Yeah, Sunday, Bloody Sunday, actually. I should
amazing,
say.
Amazing.
Of course, by U2. Now, the quiz is on the two Bushes, basically, the two presidencies. As ever, there are 10 questions. There are no fake... What are you doing with that?
Sorry.
Why are you taking bits of paper from my side of the desk?
Wrong document.
What document do you want?
No, I've got my document, thank you. Yes, right.
Well, have you got documents in front of you? You shouldn't have.
Yes, I have, yes.
Why do you need documents?
No. These are for something else that we're doing later. Don't worry about it.
No. Have you got a folded piece of paper in front of you?
No.
Well, you have.
No.
What's on that?
It's something for later, you see.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. You all right with that? Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Just because people always ask me if you're going to do it straight or whether you're going to cheat.
I'm doing it straight.
Okay.
And you're just putting mysterious, stupid questions to them.
Well, I'm just asking to make sure that you're not going to be in any way, what's the word? Not constipated. What's the word?
I don't know. No idea. No idea what your word is.
Right, there are 10 questions.
Very weird mood tonight.
I'm not in a weird mood at all. I mean, it's the only wonder I'm in a weird mood working with you.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, you drive anybody to distraction. Right, if you get one correct, you will hear this sound.
I know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully.
He's a bit like you, isn't he? I wonder if he thinks they sweat. And if you get one incorrect...
It'll take time to restore chaos.
What a great president he was. Right, question number 1. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
George W. Bush once co-owned a baseball team. What was its name?
George W. Bush.
Yeah.
George W. Bush.
Would you prefer me to refer to him as George W. or would you prefer Bush Jr.?
No, George W. is fine.
Yeah.
Baseball team.
Yeah.
What were they called? They were called... Now, let me see. They were called... The Crawford Rangers.
Incorrect.
No!
It'll take time to restore chaos.
They were called the Texas Rangers.
Texas Rangers?
Yeah.
Well, that was close enough, isn't it?
Well, no, it wasn't.
Crawford's
You
in
might as well say-
Texas.
Yeah, you might as well say he owned the Glasgow Rangers.
No.
Question number 2.
Right.
Where was George Bush Sr. born?
George Bush
Looking
Sr.
for a town.
George H. Bush. I'm saying he was born in Maine.
Incorrect.
No!
It'll take time to
I
restore
said I was looking
chaos.
for a town anyway, so you would have only got half a point for that. He was born in Milton, Massachusetts.
What?
Milton, Massachusetts. Question number 3. Where was George W. Bush on 9/11? And I'm looking for a specific place.
George W. Bush on 9/11.
Yeah.
He was in a school. He was in a school.
That's not specific enough.
Well...
I need to know where the school was.
School, where was the school? Yeah, George W. Bush on 9/11. He was in a school and Air Force One was parked very close by. Because that's the first
So it
thing
was
they
a
did.
school with a runway
Secret. No, it wasn't a runway. There was a town with a runway, and the school was in the town with the runway.
Uh-huh.
And he was whisked back to Air Force One and flown
I'll
around.
give you a quarter of a point for being in a school.
Right, school, yeah, school.
But you need to tell me where.
I believe it was in... Thinking aloud. It was in... Let me think. It was... yeah, I know where it was. I think I know where it was. It was in... Kansas.
Incorrect.
No.
It'll take time to
You
restore
get a
chaos.
quarter of a point for it was in Emma E. Booker Elementary School in Sarasota, Florida. Question number 4.
Yes.
Who did Bush Sr. defeat in the 1988 presidential race?
Bush Senior.
Yes.
Defeating
1988 presidential race.
presidential race.
Yes.
Not nominee for the Republican
No,
Party. Presidential race.
yes.
In 88?
Yes.
He beat. Let me think this through. No, he was in 4 years. Bill Clinton came 92. So in 88, what you're basically asking me is who was the Democratic runner for the presidency?
I can't elaborate.
Against George H. Bush. Is this right?
I can't elaborate. I just want to know who he beat in the 1988 presidential race. That's the question.
Right. It was... In what year?
1988.
1988, okay. It was...
Dear God.
It was... hang on.
I have to hurry you.
Who he beat to the White House. It
Yeah, do I
was...
know the year?
It was Michael Dukakis.
Correct.
Thank you! Hey!
I know the human being
He was the
and
Greek.
fish can coexist peacefully.
The Greek. Yeah,
He was,
Michael
yeah.
the Greek. Question number 5.
Yeah.
Who preceded George W. Bush as governor of Texas?
George W. Bush, who preceded him as governor of Texas. Governor of Texas.
That means who came before.
Yes, I realise that. As governor of Texas, he was
Not
the
in
46th governor of
1988.
Texas, by the way.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, 46th governor of Texas. I mean, that's worth half a point.
No, it isn't.
It is because it's.
I didn't
full of
ask you
detail. And the guy before him was
Yep.
a famous Southern politician.
Uh-huh.
And it was a woman, I think, but I'm thinking aloud now. Thinking aloud.
I can't help you.
And it was...
You sure it was a woman?
I'm not sure it was a woman. I'm thinking aloud it was a woman. Yeah, I know. I think I've got this one. So, hang on. What year are we talking about here?
Not 1988.
No, 1988. So...
Why are you watching? Why are you covering your face and looking down?
I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
I'm not. I'm closing my eyes.
No, you're not. You're looking down.
I'm not. I am not looking down, honestly.
Have you got it on your phone?
No! This phone's blank. I haven't got anything.
All right.
It-
No, but you're covering your face and you're looking down.
I'm not.
Yes,
I'm
you
merely
are.
thinking.
I can see. Well, let's move your phone. Let's have your phone.
I'll put it over there where I
No,
can't
give it to
see.
me.
No, you're having my phone.
I want to check there's no messages on it.
There are no messages on it.
Are you sure? If you switch
Look, I'll
if you
show
light it up, it doesn't come. You're not getting messages on Twitter.
That's all.
Let's have a look.
No,
Well, I can see.
you're not
I
having
can
my
see a
phone.
message.
You can't see
I'll
a
give it back
message.
to you. There's a message there.
What's it say?
Yeah, it says there's a message from Liz,
Yeah.
and there's a software update.
Yeah.
Can't see anything else.
No, well, there isn't anything
All right,
else.
I'll put it over there.
Yeah, okay, put it over there. Right, is this person famous?
Well, it depends if you regard the governor of Texas as famous.
Yeah, I see what you mean, yeah. Okay, I'm going to say
Go on.
it was... McAnally.
McAnally.
Yes.
Incorrect.
No, who was it then?
To restore chaos.
Anne Richards.
I told you it was a woman.
Well, I don't care.
I told you it was a woman. You said
gonna
you
do with
sure
me?
it was a woman. I could have said Anne Richards.
Could you?
Yes.
All right. Well, you didn't, so you don't get any points.
But you put me off.
Why did I put you off?
Because I said, I'm thinking it was a woman, and you said, are you sure it was a woman?
Yeah.
So you keep saying, I can't
How
give
does
you
that-
any help,
how
but
does
you
that
can
make-
knock down my thinking pattern.
How is that knocking anything down?
Because you said, are you sure it was a woman? You actually
Well,
put that question down. Disgraceful.
Doesn't mean you're right or wrong, does it?
Disgraceful.
Question number 6.
Yeah.
And I need a specific place now.
Yeah.
Where is the George Bush Presidential Library and Museum?
George Bush Presidential Museum is in Texas.
That's not the answer.
Hang on, excuse me, thinking aloud.
All right.
Right, it's in the state of Texas, right? And I believe it's...
Might be correct.
It must be close to his ranch, which is Crawford, Texas. So I'm saying it is... Could be one of the big cities. Could be in Dallas or Houston, Texas. Could be Houston, where his father was an oil magnate. I'm going to say it is Crawford, Texas.
Incorrect.
No!
It'll take time to
It is on the
restore
campus
chaos.
of Texas A&M University in College Station, Texas. Question number
Well,
7.
that's nearby. That's very
No,
nearby.
it isn't.
It is.
It's not.
It is.
Question number 7.
Yes.
George W. Bush attended boarding school as a child. What was the name of it?
Name of George W. Bush's boarding school?
Yeah.
As a child.
Well, not as an adult, obviously.
That was in Maine, because he was born up in Maine, but then his father went to Houston because you see,
Houston.
to make his oil fortune.
Okay.
But you see, George H. Bush, that's his father, was a war hero, and he left Yale University to enlist in the Royal Navy. No, not the Royal Navy, the U.S. Navy, where he was
This is not relevant.
an aviator.
Yeah.
And so his first child, he was George W. Bush, went to kindergarten in Maine. Then he went to a boarding school in Maine, and it was called the John Knopfler High School.
Incorrect.
No,
It'll take time to
It
restore
was, in fact, the
chaos.
Phillips Academy, and it wasn't in Maine, it was in Andover, Massachusetts.
Well, I'm used up there. Yeah.
Question number 8. When was George Bush Sr. ambassador to the UN?
Ambassador to the UN.
I need dates.
Dates. I believe that to be between... Because, of course, he was the head of the CIA as well. It was between 1981 and 1983.
Incorrect.
No!
It'll take time to restore chaos.
March 71 to January 73.
71 to 73.
Correct.
That was 10 years before.
Yep. George W. Bush is the only president to have earned what?
Eh?
George W. Bush is the only president to have earned what?
I believe that to be an honorary British knighthood.
Incorrect.
It'll take
No!
time to restore chaos.
It's an MBA from Harvard Business School, believe it or not.
So what?
Well, he's the only president that's ever got an MBA.
Good God.
Do you know what MBA stands for?
Master of Business Associates or something.
Business Administration, yeah.
Business Administration, yeah.
Question number 10.
Well, I mean, that's a really pathetic question.
Well, I mean, it's unique.
So is the one about his boarding school. How was
unique.
anybody expected to know?
Well, you
what
said you knew
boarding
everything
school?
about the Bush family.
I know everything about their political dynasties,
Really?
but I mean, knowing what
So you should know where they went to
blinking
school.
boarding school he
Because
went
that's
to.
where
is
both of them
is
went
a
to
really
school.
stupid
No,
question.
both of them went to the same school.
And, saying what's the only thing he's got? I mean, for all you know, it could have been, membership of Oakland Golf Club.
What?
I mean, it's just one fact in his life. It's ludicrous.
Well, both of them, I think it's important that both of them went to school in New England when they pretend to be from Texas. That's part of the story.
He made his fortune in Texas.
No,
Kept
he
telling you
didn't.
that.
Question number 10. George Sr. joined the Navy after the attack on Pearl Harbor.
Yes.
Where was he based?
He was based in... Based. I believe him to have been based in San Diego.
Incorrect.
No!
It'll take time to restore chaos.
He was based on Air Group 51 on the USS San Jacinto, which was actually out at sea. It wasn't based anywhere. So,
Well, I knew
you got that
his
wrong.
ship was the San Jacinto.
We didn't say that.
The San Jacinto's home harbour is San Diego.
Doesn't matter. That's not where he was
No,
based.
it was.
You have got a full,
Yeah.
creditable remarks of 1 1/4 points.
Well, ridiculous questions.
1 1/4 points out of
this,
10.
This quiz has got no future with such stupid questions.
No, this is what you always say when you
really,
can't
really,
actually successfully cheat.
pathetic.
Well,
Really
you said you knew
pathetic.
everything there was to know about the
I
Bushes.
knew about their political
You
dynasties.
didn't know when he was UN ambassador.
Excuse me?
You didn't know where the George Bush Bush Memorial Library is.
When you said who did he run against to get to the presidency, I said Dukakis, because that was a proper political question. The rest of the questions are all stupid questions.
Yeah, after your phone lit up and after you did a lot of humming and hawing.
No. Stupid questions.
You didn't get where he was born. You got the wrong state. You didn't get. You didn't know anything about. You did. You said he was born in Maine. He was born in Massachusetts.
I meant New England. Well, that's
not a state.
It's an area.
There's a whole bunch of stuff there that you didn't know. I think you should do more research.
Yeah, well, I think you should ask more sensible questions.
This is Talk Sport.
Stupid.
There may be trouble ahead, but while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance.
Here's one from Ross. He says, laughing out loud that Porky gets 1 1/4 even though he was cheating. You might want to get someone better to text you. Hashtag cheat.
No, I wasn't cheating in any way at all.
Here's one from a Woodenhead who says 1 1/4 points out of 10. Parry's the same IQ as Bush.
No, I don't think so. And the questions were so ridiculously
I don't think they were.
vague. And I mean, to say, what one thing did George H. Bush have that no other American has?
Well, I mean, I think
that could have been 100 things.
Well, yeah, it couldn't though.
Could have been, for instance, he owned a blue car. No other president ever owned a blue car. It could have been, he had a set of false teeth. No other president had a set of false teeth. It was a very vague question.
No, the question was
quite ridiculous one.
The question was quite specific. George W. Bush is the only president to have earned what?
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean he had a car. It doesn't mean that he had a pair of blue trousers. It means that he earned something.
Yeah, well, I was going to
an MBA.
I was going to say $1 million.
No.
Because he was the first one to have done that before he became president. Because he was in the oil business.
That's not true.
I'm afraid it is.
It's George W. we're talking about.
Yeah.
Pretty much every president in what you might regard as post-war America, post-Second World War America, has been a millionaire.
No, I don't think so. Not when they got there. Reagan wasn't a millionaire.
Yes, he was.
Wasn't?
Of course he was.
No, he wasn't.
He'd been governor of California, you plank.
Yeah, so he'd been governor of California. That doesn't pay $1 million a year.
Yeah, but you become a millionaire if you reach that level of politics in America, don't you think?
No.
Really?
I don't. No. You
Steve says
you're
this.
usually a successful
That's a
businessman.
really shambolic performance. Must try harder, Porky.
Well, it's not me that's shambolic, pal. It's you.
Yeah, well, pathetic. You only got 1 1/4 out of 10. That's pitiful. You can't even cheat properly, says Roy.
I wasn't cheating, and I don't know why you always try to put that on me, because it's quite ludicrous and it devalues the authenticity of the.
I don't think you know what. I don't think you were
competition.
cheating. I think that's absolutely right. I don't think you were cheating.
I wasn't.
Because when you cheat, you normally get 6 out of 10, like you did with the Clint Eastwood quiz.
Not at all.
Right. Anyway, listen, time is running out.
Yeah, of course.
We've only got another 10 minutes until the end of the show.
Right. Okay.
And of course, I will be seeing you again on Sunday.
Yes.
After you're back here on Saturday.
What?
You're back here on Saturday, aren't you?
I'm back here on
Clash
Saturday.
Of the
Clash of the Titans.
Clash of the so-called Titans.
That's right.
Who else is on the show? You've told us Mr. Danter is in charge.
Yeah,
You've got Tony Cascarino.
And the other guy I can't remember. Is he a sort of?
Is it some journalist or other?
Is it
somebody that you might have employed in the past?
Is it Matt somebody?
Matt Scott? Is it him?
Is it? I don't know. There's a lot of Matts around. Matt Smith.
Matt Smith.
There's a Matt Smith.
It's not
around.
him, is it?
Not him. No. And so I think it is Matt Scott. I don't know who he works for, but he's around all the time.
Not that Matt Smith. The other Matt Smith.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Not the one who's being chased by the Ukrainians.
Well, I think you should have a care when you refer to that gentleman, because
Why?
I think he is seeking remedial advice and treatment.
What do you mean?
Well,
what do you mean by that?
I think
he's still in hiding.
No. He's he turned himself into like a drying out clinic. Or something.
Did he? All right. Yeah. Well, good for him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I have no axe to grind against him.
Well, good. I'm glad about that.
Yeah. So, I presume you're going to be busy later on, are you?
Oh, yeah, I'll be busy later on today. I've got work to do.
Yeah.
Now, we should tell the audience about our plans for next week and the 2 weeks after
we've
that.
already done that.
No, I think we should tell them again.
Well, I don't think we want to bore the backside off them by telling them what we're up to all the time.
Aren't we going to put out a little video?
Have you got any more journals? We'll put a video out,
a little video to illustrate what we're up to next week.
Yeah, we will.
And this will be with a new radio station called Talk Radio, is that right?
Well, it's not that new. It's been going since March.
Yes, I know, but it's new to our listeners in the sense that we're introducing ourselves to it.
Well, in a way, but also don't forget we've been broadcasting on Talk Radio through the night ever since their inception.
That's true.
And we've also had the best of the two mics on a Saturday night.
Yes.
To keep them going.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is all very good.
And should we remind the audience that actually all the sort of furniture, for want of a better word, in the show will be the same.
Well,
the same features, same competitions, same music.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't want the show to turn into some kind of promo for another show.
No, it's not going to be.
Well, there's my mate Matt Kelly. Look, launch editor of the New European.
Oh, there he is. Yeah. Who's published this again?
It's Archant, yeah.
And what else do they publish?
Well, they publish a whole load of weekly and sort of local papers, like the Ham and High, for example. You remember the Ham and High?
Yeah, I do.
Hampstead and Highgate Express.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Who I once applied for a job with and almost got a job with. So basically,
there it is. Look, the New European.
There it is. Well, do you remember the old European, which was just called the European?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
which was a miracle
Maxwell,
paper,
wasn't
I think.
it?
Yeah,
Maxwell launched it.
That didn't last too long, but that was a kind of broadsheet. This is basically all about. It says the new pop-up paper for the 48%. It's called. So it's for all the people that basically it's for all the people who didn't vote to leave the European Union. So it's an interesting project, but I'm not quite sure how well it's going to go. I suspect it won't.
Printed newspapers can't work these days.
But we should judge it basically by the if we can get a hold of a copy.
Yes.
It doesn't bode well that we haven't got hold of a copy tonight.
No,
because it means that it's probably not being distributed through the normal channels.
Exactly. Quite right.
I don't know. But it's always good to see journalism flourishing.
Yes.
And if more jobs are being made available, then that's a good thing, isn't it?
I totally agree with you. Of course, it's a good thing. Listen, do you ever use that Airbnb thing?
I never have.
No.
But lots of people do.
Because I'm getting reports to say it's actually ruining city centres now because so many people are now flooding into city centres.
You never know. We may end up using it for the Edinburgh Festival because, I've seen some
I'm not staying in somebody else's house.
Well, you're not?
No.
Well, you might want to bring a tent then.
No. I'm going to a hotel.
Well, you get good luck because there is no hotel room available for less than £200 a night.
Well, that's a matter for the promoters to sort out.
Yeah.
But it says websites like Airbnb are ruining Europe's most attractive cities because they drive an unwelcome surge in visitor numbers. This is coming from tourism chiefs.
Oh, yeah.
Regulations are needed to crack down on home letting services because they're creating huge overcrowding in city centres.
No, I don't think they are.
No, this is what it says here.
How can they? Yeah, but these people have got an agenda, right? They want you to stay in a hotel.
Yes.
The tourism chiefs don't want you staying in people's apartments because it doesn't bring in any tax to the city.
That's right.
So what they're saying is that because some person has left their apartment and put somebody else in it, somehow the population's gone up. That's not possible.
Huge overcrowding in city centres, which is, and you're quite right in what you just said, which is killing the tourist industry.
Well, it's killing the hotel business, maybe.
Mark Tanzer, Chief Executive of the Association of British Travel Agents, said that cities like Florence and Barcelona risk losing business in the long run because of the unchecked growth in visitor numbers.
Yeah. I can't see that being the case.
It says Barcelona was full and Florence was another city that is very, very busy at the moment, adding that you can see the strain not just on the tourist experiences, i.e. the tourist attractions, but on the actual fabric of the city and on the residents there. Long delays at airports, long delays at the attractions that people go to see have become a major problem. People will stop going, or the danger is that you'll get the footfall, but you will not get the value of tourism. People spending in restaurants or shopping and supporting the local economy.
So what they're saying that they only like certain types of tourists. They don't like tourists who don't want to spend too much money.
Yeah.
Well, they've been to London any time recently, these guys. I mean, London is jammed and rammed with tourists.
Yes.
You see coach loads of them. You see, like hordes of them on the streets of central London. You can't move for tourists. But that's, nobody complains about it.
No, there's a figure here which says Intercontinental's group, the Intercontinental Hotels
Group. Yeah, very expensive hotels they are.
Well, they're not always.
Yeah, they are.
The Holiday Inn's part of that group.
Is it?
I know that because I've got a points thing.
Really?
I get like points for booking in.
Loyalty points.
I've got thousands of points with them, and I can stay at like a lot of good hotels.
Right. But in general speaking, the Intercontinental hotels themselves are very pricey.
Yeah. But it says they sold 177 million room nights in 2014 worldwide. Okay.
Yeah.
It said that Airbnb will overtake that by the middle of next year.
So it's a hotel problem. People are worried about people not spending enough money in hotels.
I don't want good hotels to start closing down.
They won't close down. They'll just put their prices up.
I'm not staying in somebody's, box
room.
Yeah,
but they'll just put the prices up and charge people like you more money. This is Talk Sport.
People find that song a mystery. Oh, where was the Hotel California?
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was about California. It was about the state of California.
Yeah.
You know, if you read or listen
Well, it
to all
wasn't
the
about a
words-
specific hotel,
No,
was
of course it wasn't. It was about, you know, California. You know, you can check in, but you can never check out.
Yeah.
What that means is once you've tasted, you know, the Pacific Coast Highway and a bit of Santa Monica
Yeah.
and the permanent sunshine,
And
you
some
never
of
want
the hedonism on display.
the hedonism on display. You
Yeah.
never want to leave, do
No,
you? That's
exactly
what it's all
right.
about.
Yeah, although
And-
I never wanted to. I didn't want to stay in California.
No, I didn't either. I nearly got posted to California.
Yeah, I was offered a job there once and I turned it down.
After I'd done New York for a couple of years, you know, the offer was to go to LA and work out
You
of
wouldn't
there.
have suited it there, really,
No,
would
a lot of people saw it as a paradise, but for me it was a nightmare. I don't like the sun anyway.
Yeah.
Showbiz is not my speciality, and
No,
that's what it is in LA.
exactly, yeah.
But the worst problem...
And it was incredibly sort of shallow.
Well, not only
as
was
well.
it shallow and everything was an arrangement. Everything was, yes, you can have the interview, but you've got to say this
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
that kind of stuff. You know, scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, doing deals. But
Yeah.
the worst problem was because I was what I always consider a live news reporter. I
Yeah.
like doing, you know, action breaking news.
Yeah.
LA's 8 hours behind.
Yeah.
You could only ever get a story in that
In
day's
those days,
paper.
you're sort of working a day behind.
Yeah,
aren't you?
yeah, you'd only ever get a story in that day's paper if it happened literally at, I don't know, 6 a.m., 7 a.m.,
Yeah.
8 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, right.
I mean, by the time you got to lunchtime, when people are off down the Mexican restaurants and all that, forget it, you couldn't get a story in the paper.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Now, you wanted to remind everyone what we're doing. I think now's
Yes.
a good time to do it. We
Yes.
will be from Monday. Of course, we'll be here Sunday, first of all, from 11 o'clock.
We
doing the
will.
warm-up. Monday, we're going to be on Talk Radio,
Yep.
which, of course, you can get on DAB and through the Talk Radio app, which is similar to the Talk Sport app. You can find it in the same place. We're going to be on from 10 till 1 there throughout the week, Monday to Friday. Then coming up, of course, next weekend, we're up at Rugby at the Cultural Festival.
Yes.
It's a pretty busy month, actually, coming up.
Certainly
We're not
is.
going to be stopping. And in case you want to hear Porky on his own, I can't imagine why you would. But he's going to be on the so-called Clash of the Titans show
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
What time does that start? 1?
That's 1 till 4.
3 hours.
No, 1 till 5.
4
1 till
hours?
5. 4 hours. 4
Dear
hours.
God.
Yeah, 1 till
4
5.
hours of you and the other Titans.
Yes, that's right.
Talking
Yes.
absolute caballeros.
Well, you see, that's nice, isn't it? You know, that's nice. That's
Yeah.
nice.
That's what it'll be. Anyway, a very great pleasure as ever, Mr. Parry. I'll see you on Sunday.
Yep.
Enjoy yourself tomorrow.
I'm not saying the Scots have been wiped out. I know they haven't been wiped out because we did a show there just before Christmas. I've got evidence from one of my agricultural journals of how pigs are the happiest animals.
Pigs?
And how you can tell.
How?
Well, they grunt a lot. The happy ones oink, oink more.
What a load of old rubbish.
No. Yeah, but at 19 with the Vauxhall Viva, I was a babe magnet.
Really?